Chapter 1144. Ningxu didn't know why Yihua was looking for him. So he sat beside Yihua and asked, "Leader, what do you want me to do?" "There's no one else here. You can call me elder brother." Yihua poured a cup of tea and drank it. "Do you want to drink tea? Pour it yourself," Yihua said. Ningxu nodded. She poured herself a cup of tea and sipped it slowly. A maidservant served the dishes. "We haven't eaten together for a long time. Let's eat together today," Yihua said. Ningxu. He usually ignored her. Why did he want to eat together? "Thank you, elder brother. Eat." Ningxu picked up his chopsticks and ate. Yihua didn't speak, and neither did Ningxu. There was only the sound of bowls and chopsticks colliding. But the leader's food was really delicious. "Hongya, I heard you defeated Zhaobo?" Yihua asked carelessly. "Yes. Many people saw it, so Ningxu didn't intend to hide it." Yihua put down his chopsticks and sipped his tea. "I remember you started practicing martial arts when you were 7. You've only been practicing martial arts for 8 years. How could you defeat Zhaobo?" "Because I practice a very powerful secret manual," Ningxu said directly. "What secret manual? Where did you get it?" Yihua picked up his chopsticks and picked up some food. "Elder brother, do you know the forest behind St. Devil Peak? I found a secret manual and a skeleton in a cave." Ningxu talked nonsense. "Oh really?" Yihua's expression was indifferent. No one could tell what he was thinking. "Yes." Ningxu nodded. "Where's the secret manual?" "It's in my room." "Elder brother, do you want it?" "I'll give it to you." "Don't worry." "Where's the skeleton?" "I asked Mei Wu to bury it." Mei Wu's expression didn't change when he heard this. He accepted his fate as if he was the one who did everything. After eating, Yihua wiped his mouth and rinsed his mouth. Ningxu said, "Come for dinner tonight." "Thank you, big brother." Ningxu walked out of the hall. Mei Wu followed behind Ningxu and asked in a low voice, "What secret manual do you have? When have I ever buried a skeleton?" "If I say there is, then there is." "Sure, but the secret manual. The hierarch asked you to have dinner with him tonight, so that you can bring the secret manual over." Mei Wu said, "What if cult master suspects you and kills you? Will Miss not be able to come back?" "I'm prepared." Ningxu was not in a hurry, because her peerless martial skill was a bit more powerful than these mental cultivation methods, as it directly absorbed the spirit chi of heaven and earth. If he were to display his combat prowess, it would definitely arouse suspicion. "Any news about Zhaobo?" Ningxu asked Mei Wu. It had been a while and there was no news about Zhao Boizhen at all. Now, even the righteous sects were like headless flies, sweeping the snow in front of their own door. "No news. The people we sent to spy on Zhao family fort said that he did not return." "The Zhao family fort's people are also looking for him," Mei Wu said. Ningxu nodded and began to cultivate again. Undercurrents were surging in the Jianghu now. Who knew when something terrifying would erupt? 2333 still had not informed her to leave the world, which meant that the mission was not completed yet. It was a pity that she could not kill Zhaobo. She felt that Zhaobo was like a fishbone stuck in her throat. Moreover, she had successfully cultivated the origin returning sacred skill. Although the last 3 volumes had been tampered with, the first 2 volumes were real. Zhaobo and Zhu Yang both had spirit roots, which was why they could cultivate the secret manual. Ningxu originally thought that Zhaobo would not be able to cultivate it successfully, but she did not expect that Zhaobo had spirit roots. She wondered if Zhaobo would go berserk. All kinds of thoughts flashed through Ningxu's mind. Finally, she calmed down and started cultivating. It was useless to think too much. Once one became strong, one would not be afraid of anything. In the evening, a maid came to call Ningxu over for dinner. Ningxu stopped cultivating and took out a yellowed and tattered book from the box on the dressing table. This was an old book that Ningxu had specially asked someone to find. Then he wrote the peerless martial arts on it. Ningxu took the secret manual and walked towards the main hall. Mei Wu asked, "Will the cult master believe this?" "He will." "Brother, this is the secret manual I found. Take a look." Ningxu handed the tattered book to Yihua. Yihua reached out her jade white hand and took it. She casually flipped through it and put it aside. You're just casually cultivating this kind of secret manual without asking anyone. You can't be careless when it comes to cultivating martial arts. I'm too busy. When I was young, I thought it was fun, so I cultivated by myself, Ningxu said. Have you given this secret manual to others to cultivate? Yihua asked. Ningxu shook his head. No. The maid brought the dishes over. Yihua lifted her chin and said to Ningxu, eat. Ningxu picked up his chopsticks and ate. After eating, he obediently left. Ningxu guessed that Yihua would definitely cultivate it. After all, her fighting strength was there for all to see. Moreover, with Yihua's scheming, she definitely wouldn't give this secret manual to others to cultivate. If this secret manual was really so powerful, then only the cult master of each generation could cultivate it. Moreover, this secret manual wasn't like a true cultivation secret manual. Only those with spiritual roots could cultivate it. As for what Yihua would do with this secret manual, Ningxu couldn't control it. Yihua had supreme authority in the Holy Devil cult. After evading Yihua, Ningxu began to cultivate again. However, a major event happened in the Jianghu. The Everlasting sect submitted to the Zhao clan. The reason was that Zhao Bo, who had disappeared for a long time, suddenly appeared. He went to the Everlasting sect alone and beat everyone there. Then he asked if they submitted or not. If they didn't submit to the Zhao clan, then the Everlasting sect would disappear. The Everlasting sect was placed under the banner of the Zhao clan. Next was the Plum Blossom Villa. Zhao Bo also dealt with a group of people by himself. The people of the Plum Blossom Villa resisted vigorously. Zhao Bo killed the villa master and the powerful people of the Plum Blossom Villa. Then the Plum Blossom Villa was placed under the banner of the Zhao clan. In a short period of time, 3 sects were crippled by Zhao Bo and were absorbed into the Zhao clan. The other sects were trembling with fear. They didn't know if it would be their turn next. Zhao Bo was simply crazy. When Ningxu heard this news, he thought of what Zhao Bo said before. He wanted to unify the Jianghu. After unifying those righteous sects, what should he do next? That would be to bring people to attack the demon cult. Did this Zhao Bo have a male lead halo? He suddenly turned into a Super Saiyan. He didn't even do anything on the surface. He directly used violence to make people submit. This was the rhythm of going to heaven. Ningxu hurriedly went to find Yihua and told him to make preparations. Yihua was ordering his subordinates to do something. He was frowning. Obviously, he knew about this matter. Brother, I feel that the 2 volumes of the correct origin returning sacred technique are also a big killing weapon. The current Zhao Bo has become very powerful. Ningxu said to Yihua. Yihua looked at Ningxu expressionlessly. Are you blaming this sovereign? No. Ningxu shook his head. Yihua's expression, how could he say yes? Chapter 1145. If the secret scripture is full of loopholes, will others cultivate it? Yihua said indifferently. Now that Zhao Bo has done such a thing, it means that he's already showing signs of qi deviation and can't control his mind. Ningxu, ha 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 ha. Ningxu laughed inwardly. Was Yihua trying to regain his face by saying that? Then we have to make plans early. If we wait until he gathers his people, we'll be in trouble. Ningxu said to Yihua. Saint Devil Peak is easy to defend and hard to attack. It won't be easy to attack. I'll make arrangements. What if there's a spy like Qi Yi in our sect? Saint Devil Peak's terrain was complicated. However, after living in Saint Devil Peak for a long time, he was very familiar with it. I know what to do. Yihua waved his hand at Ningxu. Ningxu saw that Yihua didn't want to talk to him, so he left. He walked out of the hall and asked Mei Wu, "What's the situation now?" Another 2 sects have already joined Zhao Castle. There are also some nameless sects that want to take advantage of the situation and voluntarily join Zhao Castle. Mei Wu said. Ningxu smacked his lips. Another 2 sects were destroyed. And Zhao Bo was able to beat him down by himself. How strong is Zhao Bo? Ningxu was a little surprised. Was he really that powerful? Even cultivators couldn't be that fast. Many cultivators who cultivated for more than 100 years were still small cultivators. Zhao Bo couldn't have really gone mad, right? According to the scouts, it was him alone. He's very powerful. Ningxu. Waves were rising in the Jianghu. Xiaobo's actions were swift and fierce. He was determined to unify the Jianghu. In the end, Xiaobo was too lazy to look for them. He directly announced that he was coming to surrender. If they didn't agree, then he would destroy their sections. Every sect and sect had their own inheritances. In the future, they still had to pass down their inheritances. If they wanted to join Zhao Castle, then they would. Xiaobo chose the sect that resisted the most fiercely and killed them all as an example to others. Soon, some of the sects took the initiative to surrender. When Ningxu heard that Xiaobo had directly killed a sect's people, he thought to himself, "Oh my god, this Xiaobo must be crazy." Even the members of the demonic sect would not necessarily do such a thing. Of course, there was also the possibility that the members of the demonic sect did not have the ability to do so. With this kind of speed, Xiaobo would soon be able to unify the Jianghu for thousands of years. Other than paying attention to Xiaobo, Ningxu also sped up his rate of cultivation. He wondered what kind of natural treasure Xiaobo had consumed to allow him to become so powerful. Yihua also began to cultivate the secret manual that Ningxu had given him. Sometimes he would call Ningxu over like a boss and ask him about cultivation matters. "Ningxu, if you're asking for help, you should act like you're asking for help." Then Ningxu told him everything. Yihua replied with an "oh." Ningxu waved his hand and told her to scram. Ningxu was cursing in his heart, but his expression was calm. "Miss, the Wuyo temple has also been absorbed into the Zhao family fort." Mei Wu walked in front of Ningxu. Ningxu said, "From now on all the righteous sects have been absorbed into the Zhao family fort." Ningxu curled his lips. Even the Wuyo temple couldn't escape. Living in this world, no one could stay out of it. Even he couldn't control his own fate. If he couldn't even protect himself, how could he enlighten the world? Little monk Huiji, I hope you can enlighten your righteous Wuling Alliance head. The situation is tense now. I think the Zhao family fort will attack us soon. Mei Wu said worriedly. What are you afraid of? I will sweep them away. Mei Wu. The Saint Devil Peak also became busy, making all kinds of defensive arrangements. There was a suffocating feeling like before a storm. Xiaobo was faster than they had expected. Soon he gathered the sects and attacked the Saint Devil sect. Soon they surrounded the Saint Devil sect. Ningxu looked down at the people below. There were people from all kinds of sections. Even the monks of the Wuyo temple were wearing the clothes of the Zhao family fort. Coupled with their bald heads, they looked out of place. Huiji was among them. Sensing Ningxu's gaze, he raised his head and looked into Ningxu's eyes. Even though they were far apart, Ningxu could still see his clear eyes. They were peaceful and compassionate. This child. Ningxu shifted his gaze. As expected, he was the monk with the most resolute Buddhist heart. In the face of such an unexpected situation, he was even calmer than some of the older monks. These righteous sects still came to attack the Saint Devil sect. Although the process was different and the main characters were different, it was still the same as in the plot. Damn, who did the Saint Devil sect offend? Why did they have to attack the Saint Devil sect? What righteous path? What evil path? They were all the same. People's hearts were all the same. Ningxu stared at the leader. Xiaobo was floating in the air. His hair was all white. Xiaobo was only 40 years old. During the martial arts convention, his hair wasn't like this. His hair turned white overnight. People who cultivated would get younger the more they cultivated. Especially cultivators, they could improve their bodies. Yihua, who was beside Ningxu, asked, "Does white hair mean that he went berserk?" Yihua didn't say anything. Ningxu didn't care about Yihua's appearance. He was always pretending to be profound. "Yihua, long time no see. You are still so weak." Xiaobo said, "You are far from your father." "Yes, long time no see. You have grown old and should enter the coffin," Yihua said calmly. The two's conversation was filled with gunpowder. Has he fought with father? Ningxu asked Yihua. Yihua's expression was one of disdain. He took advantage of father's injuries and ambushed him. Otherwise, how could he become the martial arts alliance head? Ningxu was speechless. Why did they treat the devil sect's people as meritorious deeds? as if he could become the martial arts alliance head if he dealt a heavy blow to the devil sect. Your Saint Devil sect killed the innocent. Today, we will make the Saint Devil sect disappear from the Jianghu. Zhao Bo said loudly. Exterminate the devil sect. Exterminate the devil sect. These people shouted weakly. It was obvious that they were not united. Yihua only sneered to express his disdain. Yihua, let me see if your skin has grown. How can you be like your father? Zhao Bo said as he launched a fierce attack at Yihua. Yihua didn't show any weakness. The two started fighting. The two people started fighting. Both sides watched the two fight. If it wasn't for the wrong atmosphere, Ning Shu would have applauded. This was much more exciting than the martial arts convention. Zhao Bo was very strong, but Yihua wasn't weak either. As the two fought, the shockwaves spread to the surroundings and even cracked the mountain rocks. One black and one green figure flashed. If one didn't look carefully, one wouldn't be able to see the two's fighting postures. Yihua's martial arts were actually so good. However, in the storyline, he was raped to the point of eating forbidden drugs. In the end, all the veins in his body were broken. Who knew if the current Zhao Bo or the storyline's Qi was stronger? Chapter 1146. The two sides faced each other as they stared at Zhao Bo and Yihua, who were locked in battle. In the end, Yihua's strength was slightly weaker and he lost. Yihua retreated with an indifferent expression. There was a bit of blood at the corner of his mouth. He was clearly injured. Brother, are you all right? Ning Shu took out a medicine bottle and poured out a pill. This is the holy healing medicine made by Elder Gu. Quickly take it. Yihua took the medicine and swallowed it. Yihua, you're much weaker than your father. A son can't compare to his father. After beating back Yihua, Zhao Bo appeared to be very proud and proud. Ning Shu flew out. Usually, people who bully the young and take advantage of their seniority. Don't you feel ashamed? During the martial arts convention, I could beat you until you rolled on the ground. Now, I can beat you until you're looking for your teeth on the ground. Impudent. Do you have the right to speak here? Zhao Bo's white hair fluttered and his expression was ugly. Ning Shu sneered. Old thing, what are you playing at? Ning Shu mobilized the qi in his dantian. After a period of cultivation, Ning Shu's strength had increased a bit. Ning Shu clenched his fist and a white, almost transparent dragon head appeared on his fist. It roared silently. As Ning Shu punched, the dragon head became more and more ferocious. Zhao Bo's expression was somewhat dignified as he fiercely counterattacked Ning Shu. Every time Ning Shu punched, there would be a ferocious dragon head. Yihua looked at Ning Shu's fist and raised his handsome eyebrows. Every time Zhao Bo's fist collided with Ning Shu's, he would feel a powerful force that shook his entire body. Even his lungs hurt from the vibrations. Zhao Bo circulated his qi and the aura on his body became more and more powerful. It made it difficult for everyone present to breathe. Especially Ning Shu, who was facing him. He felt the pressure especially great. Ning Shu sneered. Looking at Zhao Bo's appearance, he was afraid that he had cultivated to the later stages. Zhao Bo's eyes were a little scarlet, and the veins on his face were bulging like earthworms. Ning Shu floated in the air and released the qi gene in his body. An invisible qi gene in the shape of a dragon roared and rushed towards Zhao Bo. It directly passed through Zhao Bo's body several times. Ning Shu flew over and struck Zhao Bo's chest with his palm. Zhao Bo spat out a mouthful of blood and crashed into the stone wall. Zhao Bo also spat out a mouthful of blood. Zhao Bo's eyes turned even redder as he stared at Ning Shu. The veins on his face and neck bulged, then disappeared. It was as if there were earthworms squirming in his skin. It was a horrifying sight. Kill the devil sect's evildoer for me, Zhao Bo roared. Fort Lord, the demonic sect is too powerful. I'm afraid we will suffer heavy losses, someone said. I said beat him up. Whoever doesn't move, kill without mercy. Zhao Bo slapped the person who refuted him to death. That person's internal organs were ruptured by Zhao Bo's palm strike, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood was filled with broken internal organs. There was no hope for this person. When the others saw Zhao Bo's ruthlessness, they began to charge towards the devil sect. Kill! The two sides converged together like two waves of water and began to fight. After a while, the thick smell of blood drifted out. Many people were injured and lost their lives because of this. There were people from the righteous sects and also people from the Saint Devil sect. Ningxu looked at these killings. These people died because of some people's ambitions. Ningxu saw the little monk Huiji from the corner of his eyes. He was sitting cross-legged on the ground and silently reciting Buddhist scriptures. His whole body was quiet and peaceful. In the midst of the killing, he seemed incomparably noble. Many people walked in front of him. Some people fell in front of him, and blood splattered on his body. His expression was always peaceful and compassionate. Ningxu. She really wanted to stab this guy with her sword. Xiaobo roared angrily as Ningxu and Yihua rushed over. His expression was somewhat strange and crazy. You monsters from the devil sect should all die. Xiaobo's hands released a powerful force. Ningxu and Yihua rushed over. Ningxu dodged the attack and attacked Xiaobo together with Yihua. Xiaobo was already injured before, and now he was being attacked by two people. It was very strenuous for him. I'll let you see my power. Xiaobo roared angrily. The clothes on his body were scattered. Xiaobo's eyes were scarlet. He quickly stretched out his palm and slapped Yihua's chest. Yihua spat out blood and retreated. Ningxu released a dragon-shaped energy. The huge dragon pierced through Xiaobo's body. Xiaobo spat out a mouthful of blood, but the aura on his body became stronger and stronger. His eyes were somewhat unfocused. He's going berserk, Yihua said while clutching his chest. Ningxu. Going berserk made him even stronger. He felt like a crazy person. He was strong and ran fast. The dragon-shaped energy continuously pierced through Xiaobo's body. Xiaobo spat out blood, but the more he fought, the more courageous he became. He rushed towards Yihua. Xiaobo really wanted to kill Yihua, the leader of the devil sect. Ningxu pulled Yihua away. He stretched out his palm and met Xiaobo's palm. The two of them flew out at the same time. Ningxu's mouth was overflowing with blood. Xiaobo directly spat out a mouthful of blood. However, he didn't feel tired. He didn't show any signs of being injured. Instead, he went to kill the other members of the devil sect. Xiaobo was very strong. Not only did he kill the people of the devil sect, his eyes were red. No matter who the person in front of him was, he would kill. Not only did he kill the people of the devil sect, he also killed his own people. Everyone retreat. Yihua beat the drum. The people of the devil sect immediately retreated to the devil sect. But the righteous sects were a bit bitter. The current Xiaobo was like a mad dog. He would bite whoever he caught. No matter who the person in front of him was, he would kill them. His restless qi and blood had clouded his mind. The people of the devil sect expressionlessly watched Xiaobo kill. Ba. The little monk Huiji bowed to Ningxu from afar. I asked the benefactor to help me control Alliance head Zhao, so as to prevent more people from meeting with misfortune. Ningxu smiled as he looked at Huiji. Little monk, I don't know how to control people. I only know how to kill. Right now, Alliance head Zhao is in a very dangerous situation. If he escapes, he will cause a lot of harm. The little monk Huiji said to Ningxu. The little monk Huiji's voice attracted Xiaobo's attention. Xiaobo stretched out his hand and attacked the little monk Huiji. Ningxu casually took a rope and threw it towards Xiaobo. The little monk dodged Xiaobo. Ningxu pulled the rope with both hands and tied it around Xiaobo's body. He hurriedly added a few more ropes. Xiaobo moved his body, as if he wanted to break free from the rope. Ningxu shouted to Yihua. Big brother, throw me another rope. Before Ningxu could finish his words, he heard a piu sound. It was the sound of a sword piercing through skin. Ningxu turned his head and saw a young man holding a sword piercing through Xiaobo's chest. Xiaobo let out a hee-hee sound as he gasped for breath. The man who killed Xiaobo was young and inexperienced. He stabbed his sword into Xiaobo's heart. His expression was filled with panic and hatred. He is a devil. He killed my father. The man fell to the ground and held his head with both hands. Chapter 1147. PFFF. The surrounding people suddenly took out their weapons and stabbed Xiaobo's body. Many bloody holes appeared on Xiaobo's body as fresh blood spurted out. Xiaobo fell to the ground with a plop as his scarlet eyes stared. Ba. The little monk Huiji sat on the ground, and began to chant the Rebirth Sutra to release the souls of those who died here. Ningxu returned to the Saint Devil Mountain. Yihua squinted his eyes. Now that they have no leader, let's take this opportunity to kill them. Ningxu shook his head. Our Saint Devil sect also suffered heavy losses, so did the other party. Why don't we stop fighting now? PFFF. Yihua sneered. Don't tell me that we'll wait for them to recover before attacking us. We don't know when they'll recover, but all the slightly stronger people from the various sects have been killed by Xiaobo. They've all been reduced to third-rate sections. Ningxu looked at Yihua. If we really want to unify the underworld, the army should be here. This kind of mutual restraint was the way to survive. Yihua didn't say anything. Ningxu smiled and said, Brother, this world is much bigger than we imagined. There are many unknown things. Perhaps there are other worlds outside of this world. Why do we have to work so hard for such a small thing, only to turn into dust in the end? Perhaps they were fighting here, fighting over something that looked very precious. Perhaps there was a giant looking at them, who were like ants, fighting over trash. Just like when we're bored, we watch ants move things and snatch things. We might even be living in a dream. When we wake up, we will disappear. Yihua turned his head and squinted his eyes as he stared at Ningxu. His gaze swept across Ningxu's face inch by inch. Yihua waved his hand and the people of the Saint Devil sect surrounded everyone. Everyone's face was filled with fear and apprehension. Ningxu raised his eyebrows. Brother? They came to invade the Saint Devil sect, yet we let them go. They think that the people of the Saint Devil sect are easy to bully. If we don't teach them a lesson, it won't be the style of the Saint Devil sect. Yihua's expression was cold. Yihua walked over with Ningxu following beside him. A slightly more capable person stepped forward and cupped his hands towards Yihua. Cult leader Yi, this time we were all forced by Xiaobo. We have no way to resist, so we ask for cult leader Ye's forgiveness. Oh, Yihua said nonchalantly. In any case, Xiaobo is dead now, so you can say whatever you want. Monk Huikong of the Wuyo Temple stood up and said, Benefactor Yi, we were wrong in this matter. Please forgive us, Yi Benefactor. Ba. The little monk Huiji stood up. As long as the benefactor allows everyone to leave, and as long as this little monk doesn't invade the Holy Devil cult in his lifetime, a monk doesn't lie. If I violate this, I will be punished by the heavens and earth. The Plum Blossom Manor will not offend the Holy Devil cult. Everlasting sect. Mount Song sect. After the little monk Huiji made the vow, the others hurriedly followed suit. Ningxu rolled his eyes. Little monk, if you pledge allegiance to the Zhao fort, then wouldn't the Wuyo temple be destroyed? As long as this little monk is alive, the Wuyo temple will always exist. Before the abbot died, the abbot of the Wuyo temple was already passed down to this little monk. This little monk is now the abbot of the Wuyo temple. The little monk Huiji said. Oh, you are the abbot? What are you showing off for? This little monk is not showing off. The Holy Devil cult was attacked by you and suffered heavy losses. There were also many injured. Yihua said indifferently. We will compensate you. The people of the Plum Blossom Manor immediately said. Compensation, we will definitely compensate. You better hurry up. If it's too late, we will go to each sect to take it. Yihua waved his hand and the people of the Holy Devil cult opened up a path. These people dragged the corpses of their sect's disciples and ran away as if they were burned. Hongyi, look at these righteous sections. Yihua said with disdain. Ningxu said, righteous sects are also people. Not everyone can be a hero. Thank you, female benefactor. The little monk Huiji Ningxu bowed. Benefactor has saved this little monk time and again. This little monk is unable to repay you. Repay with your body, Ningxu said casually. Since he was unable to repay her, then he could only repay her with his body. The moment Ningxu said this, the faces of the monks behind Huiji twisted. They wanted to scold Ningxu, but their lives were still in his hands. The little monk Huiji's expression did not change. Benefactor is joking. This little monk will take his leave. The little monk Huiji walked at the front and left with the group of monks. Who knew if it was Ningxu's misconception, but he felt that the little monk's footsteps were filled with Sanskrit. This matter could be considered to have passed just like that. However, it would be difficult for these sects to prosper again. The experts of these sects were all slaughtered by Zhao Bo, and Zhao Fort was destroyed by these sects in one night. The disciples of Zhao Fort were also scattered. After all, Zhao Fort didn't even have a person to preside over the situation. These people directly set fire to Zhao Fort. Ningxu smacked his lips. Burning houses was the patent of this witch from the devil sect, but these people still dared to steal it. He also didn't know what happened to the heaven's pride and earth's favorite Zhao Ling. Ningxu sent people out to inquire, but they only heard that she was taken away by the original Zhao Fort disciples. Without her father's protection, Zhao Ling's life would not be easy. Her father killed many people from sects when he was alive, and now people came to seek revenge. People were drifting in the Jianghu, stabbing each other. However, the Jianghu wasn't too chaotic now. Everyone had their tails between their legs. It was unprecedentedly peaceful. The restless atmosphere from before had also dissipated. Even people's moods had relaxed. Yihua started to seriously cultivate her peerless martial arts. When she had nothing to do, she would call Ningxu over to ask. Then, intentionally or unintentionally, she would lead the topic to the heavens. Ningxu only said that there was definitely a world that they didn't know about. Maybe there really was a paradise or something. Yihua waved her hand to tell Ningxu to scram. Ningxu curled his lips and left. When Ningxu was free, he would bring a group of subordinates to walk around. At the same time, he would also collect compensation for his mental trauma. He would play for a few days at every sect. Seeing that these people were so sullen that they couldn't speak, but they had to treat him well, Ningxu felt very comfortable. Ningxu wandered around and saw many different kinds of strange and indescribable scenery. Ningxu arrived at Wuyu Temple. After the previous incident, the incense at Wuyu Temple wasn't as prosperous as before. There were only a few worshippers. At the entrance, Huiji brought a group of monks to welcome Ningxu. Ningxu walked over. The bell at his waist gave out a crisp sound as he walked. Ami, where's the money? Ningxu asked. The money has been prepared. Benefactor, please rest. Huiji said. Ningxu nodded and followed Huiji into Wuyu Temple. The moment he walked in, he smelled the scent of pine. Chapter 1148. I want to stay here for a few days and take a good look at Wuyu Temple. Ningxu looked at Huiji. I also want to talk to you about my life goals. It would be impolite to decline. The small monk said in a serious manner. Ningxu ate the vegetarian food that the small monk mentioned and it did taste quite good. You monks really know how to enjoy such well-cooked food. You are an important guest, so we usually don't cook such exquisite food. Huiji said. Ningxu looked at the peach blossom forest outside the window. The peach blossoms had just bloomed and the wind blew the branches. The buds swayed slightly. Ningxu, Huiji said, these peach blossoms listen to the Sanskrit chants every day and maybe they will develop Buddhist nature. Your temple might even give birth to a peach blossom demon. That is good. Everything has a spirit. If the peach blossoms really develop intelligence after listening to the Sanskrit chants, then they are fated with Buddha, Huiji said in a clear voice. Ningxu supported his chin and looked at the small monk before looking at the peach blossoms outside. He had already imagined the beautiful love story between the beautiful monk and the peach blossom demon. But whether or not a peach blossom demon would appear was still uncertain. Small monk, if you are free, water these peach blossoms and fertilize them. Don't chant scriptures all day. If you want to chant scriptures, you have to chant them to the peach blossoms. Who knows, maybe a peach blossom demon might appear. Ningxu smiled and said. Huiji didn't say anything. Small monk, what do you think love is? Ningxu asked. Obsession. Huiji said. An obsession that you have to get. Humans can't escape from greed, anger, and stupidity. Huiji said. Ningxu felt that Huiji's words made sense. It was greed that wanted to possess and was unwilling to give up. Ningxu stretched. I am leaving tomorrow. Prepare the money. The next day, Ningxu took the small monk's money and left. Before he left, the small monk called out to Ningxu. What is it? Ningxu asked. Ba, may Buddha bless you. Huiji said seriously, handing the prayer beads in his hand to Ningxu. Ningxu took the prayer beads. Each bead was plump and shiny, with a hint of sandalwood fragrance. Thank you, I'm leaving. Ningxu led a group of people away in a cloud of dust. After returning to the St. Devil Peak, Ningxu no longer ran around. Instead, he learned how to concoct poison from poison scorpion Elder Gu. Her poison concocting skills were still at the beginner level, so it would be a good idea to learn more. Ningxu also joined the ranks of destroying these medicine men. Ningxu mainly wanted to learn how to deal with human skin from Elder Gu, as well as the medicine that could change the characteristics of the human body. These things might be useful in the future. However, Ningxu felt that this Elder Gu was really abnormal. He had all kinds of strange poisons, all kinds of torture. It was simply an eye-opener for Ningxu. He really lived up to his reputation as Poison Scorpion. Ningxu also learned many things from him. He memorized all kinds of poison concocting recipes, and all kinds of herbs and poisons. Meiwu asked Ningxu, when will Miss come back? Soon, very soon. Ningxu stared at the book, not even raising his head as he answered. When is soon? Meiwu asked tirelessly. Soon. Ningxu said. Your miss will definitely come. Don't worry. I'm worried. Ningxu spread his hands. There's nothing you can do even if you're worried. At this moment, a maid came over. Meiwu shut his mouth. The maid Ningxu said. Miss, the cult master invites you over for a meal. Okay. Ningxu nodded. He guessed that Yihua had something to ask him. Actually, Ningxu didn't really like eating with Yihua. When they were eating, he looked indifferent and spoke in a half-dead manner. He wasn't happy at all. He had a bit of indigestion. After the meal, Yihua and Ningxu talked for a while. Are there other worlds besides this one? Yihua asked faintly. There's always someone better than you. There must be other worlds. It's just that we don't know about them. Ningxu nodded. Yihua was silent. Ningxu waved his hand, and Ningxu hurriedly left. Ningxu lived a leisurely life in the demon sect. Meiwu stared at Ningxu every day. He stared at Ningxu until a D mark appeared on Ningxu's face. Mission complete. Do you want to leave this world immediately? 2333's voice sounded in Ningxu's mind. Ningxu glanced at Meiwu and said in his mind, leave. Ningxu felt dizzy. When he opened his eyes, he saw the empty system space and the black mark on the wall. The black mark is a bit smaller. When will the fusion be complete? Ningxu asked. 2333 said. It'll take some time. Okay. Ningxu sat on the ground and began to absorb the pure soul energy in the system space. After the absorption, Ningxu looked down at his soul. His soul had become stronger. In the future, his soul would become stronger and stronger. He would become immortal and indestructible. Wahahaha. Ningxu opened his status panel and looked at his rewards. Number, 2333 Name, Ningxu Advanced Mission Taker. Age, 27 points 42. 15 million soul, 330 HP, 111 wisdom, 344 charm, 30 luck, 199 intelligence, 230 faith, 16515 martial strength, 352 aptitude, 129 merit, 13460 skills. 5th ring shooting technique, intermediate close combat technique, intermediate poison technique, beginner business management knowledge, beginner code programming, beginner lawyer skill, beginner ghost catching skill honorary titles. Goddess of War selfless ancestor items. Calming aura, calming pill, faith aura, amulet 4, upgraded amulet 2 aura. Mother of the World Queen's blessing, sister model worker, Qinshi's blessing, leader aura grass blessing, best friend Miao Miao Miao's blessing, savior, Zhu Su Nyong's blessing, founding female general, Chen Ermiai's blessing, lady justice, Chen Ning's blessing, complete Hongya's wish, not be deceived by Qi-Yi. Kill Qi-Yi and take revenge on those righteous sections. Mission reward. 5 million points, 2000 faith, 40 attribute points, Buddhist light bracelet. The points and attribute points for this mission could only be considered average, but Hongya gave all her soul energy. However, this Buddhist light bracelet was given to her by Huiji. What's the use of this Buddhist light bracelet? Ningshu asked 2333. That little monk can be considered a senior monk. This bracelet is contaminated with Buddhist aura. Evil spirits will not come close. It has the effect of warding off evil spirits. 2333 said. Ningshu's eyes lit up. This was a good thing. Other than the Buddhist light bracelet, several of his skills had leveled up. His ultimate martial technique had gone from beginner to intermediate success. Perhaps after a while, he would be able to master it easily. Her poison technique had gone from beginner to intermediate. Her poison technique had become more powerful. Chapter 1149. Miss. Meiwu stared at Hongyi, who had woken up on the bed. Hongya opened her eyes. Her gaze was a little dazed. Seeing Hongya's gaze, Meiwu's stern face finally broke into a smile. My head hurts. Hongyi rubbed her forehead. Meiwu said softly, Miss, you slept for a long time. Hongyi nodded. Yes, I feel like I slept for a long time. Hongyi walked around while rubbing her head. The maids and disciples she met all bowed to her respectfully. Hongyi was surprised. Miss is very powerful, Meiwu explained. Where's Qi? Hongyi asked. I haven't seen him in a long time. Meiwu looked at a peach tree silently. Qi was below it. Qi is a spy sent by the Orthodox sections. I see. Hongyi stroked her chest. She didn't seem to be sad. Instead, she sighed in relief. Hongyi found out that many things had happened during this time. It felt like a dream. How could so many things happen in such a short time? Miss, do you want to collect money and go out for a walk? Meiwu looked at Hongya's confused expression and wanted her to go out for a walk. Okay, I'll collect money. Hongyi led a group of people everywhere. They went to various sects and clans. Everywhere they went, there was chaos. The demonic sects which was here. Once, Hongyi met a woman on the street who was being beaten up by a man. Hongyi tried to save her, but the woman looked at Hongyi with hatred. You killed my father. You burned down Zhao Castle. Zhao Ling roared at Hongyi. You demonic sect witch. Hongyi was speechless. Did I burn down Zhao Castle? Hongyi asked Meiwu. Stop pretending. If it wasn't for the demonic sect, Zhao Castle wouldn't be like this. Give me back my father's life. Zhao Linger attacked Hongyi. Hongyi dodged Zhao Linger. Yes, twice, Meiwu said. Hongyi was speechless. She was sleepwalking. Hongyi ignored Zhao Linger. A man grabbed Zhao Linger's hair and dragged her. This man used to be a disciple of Zhao Castle. Zhao Linger was pulled by the hair. She was in great pain, but she kept scolding Hongya, saying that Hongya killed her father. Hongya was speechless. What a lunatic. Since she couldn't find anyone to hate, she could only hate her. That so-called Wulin Alliance chief was stabbed to death by those righteous sections. In the end, the Zhao family fort was also completely destroyed by those righteous sections. Ningshu distributed the 40 attribute points. Every time he distributed the attribute points, he felt a strange sense of satisfaction in his heart. Serial number 2333. Name Ningshu, Senior Mission Taker. Age 27 points. 4215/40000000. Soul value 330 HP, 111 Wisdom, 34410 Charm, 30 Luck, 19910 Mental Power, 23010 Faith, 165152000 Combat Power, 35210 Aptitude, 129 Merit, 13460 Skills. 5th Ring Shooting Technique, Intermediate Close Combat Technique, Intermediate Level Poison Technique, Beginner Business Management Knowledge, Beginner Code Programming, Beginner Lawyer Skills, Beginner Ghost Catching Skills. Honorary titles: Goddess of War, Selfless Ancestor Tools, Calming Aura, Calming Pill, Faith Aura, Amulet 4, Upgraded Amulet 2 Aura. Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Model Worker, Chunxi's Blessing, Leader Aura, Grass Blessing, Best Friend for Life, Miao Miao Miao's Blessing, Lifesaver, Zhu Sunyang's Blessing, Founding Female General, Chen Ermiai's Blessing, Lawful Beauty, Chen Ning's Blessing. After adding the attribute points, Ningshu looked at the empty system space and didn't know what to do. There was nothing. Ningshu asked 2333. Are there any functions that can be fixed? No. Ningshu. First, fix the channel to the virtual space. If he could go to the virtual space, he could go to the shop to exchange for things, and he could also go shopping. Now that he was back in the system space, he was faced with an empty system space. He didn't even have a way to relax. Okay. 2333 agreed. Ningshu didn't believe 2333 would agree so easily. Ningshu was a little tired from standing, so he sat on the floor and said to 2333, I'm a little tired. Next time, send me a simpler world. Okay, I'll pick one carefully. 2333 said. Ningshu leaned against the wall and took a nap. Before he had a bed, but now he could only sleep on the floor. Ningshu leaned against the wall and slept for a while. When he woke up, he said to 2333, let's go do some quests. Since there was no way to relax in the system space, he might as well go do some quests. Okay. Ningshu felt dizzy for a moment. He felt his soul fusing into a body. After a while, Ningshu opened his eyes. What he saw was a white ceiling. He moved his eyes and saw that the original owner had fallen asleep on the sofa. Ningshu moved his neck. It hurt a little. Ningshu looked around. He was in a small apartment, about 100 square meters in size. The decoration was quite cozy. The room was quiet, and Ningshu was alone. Her head felt heavy, and her eyes hurt and were a little swollen. It seemed like she had been crying. She was probably a little tired after sleeping on the sofa. Ningshu frowned. His body was very heavy, and his heart felt like it was blocked by a piece of lead. He felt like he couldn't breathe. Ningshu hammered his chest, coughed twice, and took a deep breath. He sat on the sofa and moved his neck to accept the plot. The original owner's name was Xuejing. She was 32 years old. She had been married for about 2 years. Her husband was an employee of a company. Xuejing met her husband, and Xuchen, through her best friend Yensuni. Yensuni grew up with Xuejing, and they were neighbors. The two of them were even closer than real sisters. Xuejing was 30 years old and still unmarried. Yensuni introduced her colleague and Xuchen to Xuejing. And Xuchen was 38 years old, almost 40 years old. He said that his parents were worried about him, and he needed to settle down. This and Xuchen had good looks, and he had the aura of a mature man. He was especially charming. Xuejing wasn't a beauty. She was pleasing to the eye. She couldn't help but wonder why her best friend would introduce such a good man to her. Yensuni said, it's because you're my best friend that I'm introducing him to you. If it weren't for the fact that I'm unmarried, I wouldn't have introduced such a man to you. Yensuni was tall and well-proportioned. She was also good-looking. She was also a part-time model. She was a beauty. Compared to Yensuni, Xuejing was a little ordinary. Chapter 1150. Yensuni liked to play and was determined not to get married in this life. She didn't want to be a woman around the pot. For her husband, for her children, for her family, she became a haggard woman, but men despised her. Yensuni lived, as she said, fashionable and beautiful. Xuejing didn't doubt her. After all, they were best friends who grew up together. She even knew when the other party's first period came. After all, and Xuchen was considered outstanding. He was a director of a company, and it was considered a moderate position. He was Yensuni's boss, and he was much better looking than most men. After that meeting, Xuejing and Xuchen's relationship went smoothly. Then, Xuchen proposed to Xuejing. The two of them bought a wedding house. The down payment was paid by Xuejing, but it was written in their names. Xuchen said that his salary was enough for the two of them to retire. Xuejing usually bought groceries at home and paid for all the expenses. Xuejing didn't mind. The two of them lived their lives respectfully. But gradually, Xuejing realized that something was wrong. The two of them only got a marriage certificate and didn't hold a wedding banquet. By chance, Xuchen forgot to take his document bag, so Xuejing went to Xuchen and Yensuni's company. Yensuni held Xuejing's arm and introduced her to others, saying that she was her best friend. She didn't say that Xuejing was Xuchen's wife. She took the document bag that Xuejing sent over, and said that Xuchen was in a meeting and asked Xuejing to go back first. Xuejing was confused, but she didn't take it to heart. However, Xuejing realized that Xiuchen was always calling behind her back. He would call in the middle of the night and whisper. Xuejing started to suspect that Xiuchen had other women, so she secretly checked his phone. One of the numbers was called a lot, but the caller ID was CEO Wang, so it should be his boss. But which boss would call in the middle of the night? It was just like how some men set their lover's phone number as their mobile number, such as 10086. Xuejing called in Xiuchen while he was taking a shower. Yansuni picked up the phone. Xuejing hung up the phone hurriedly and went to confront Yansuni. Yansuni admitted that she and Xiuchen had that kind of relationship, but she wouldn't destroy their family. She was someone who didn't want to get married. Yansuni said that Xiuchen was her boyfriend, but Xiuchen's parents forced him to get married. Xiuchen was almost 40 years old, and if he didn't get married, his parents wouldn't let him off. Yansuni, on the other hand, was adamant about not getting married. She didn't want to be tied down by marriage, but Xiuchen's parents were pressuring her. An idea flashed through Yansuni's mind. Just like that, she pushed out her best friend who grew up with her. Anyway, I'm not getting married. You can marry someone else. Don't let the goodies flow into your own fields. Just marry my best friend. We grew up together, and we like to share everything. Now, I'm even sharing my boyfriend with you. What happened after that was logical. After hearing Yansuni's words, Xuejing was dumbfounded. Xuejing questioned Yansuni. How could you do this? How could you do this to me? However, Yansuni said that she was the one who got to know Xiuchen first. They were originally a couple, and now Xiuchen had given her a marriage. Yansuni even promised Xuejing that she wouldn't ruin your marriage. Xuejing was so angry that she was about to have a cerebral hemorrhage. Were they going to maintain such an abnormal relationship? Yansuni was clearly using her. Xuejing went to ask Xiuchen and asked him to break up with Yansuni. They were already married. Xiuchen was cold and said that if she wanted a divorce, then so be it. Later on, Xiuchen didn't care about Xuejing anymore and moved in with Yansuni. Xuejing made a fuss, cried, and was hysterical, but Xiuchen ignored her. Yansuni asked Xuejing to talk to Xiuchen nicely, because she wanted Xuejing to turn a blind eye. However, Xuejing was so angry that she wanted to take revenge on Xiuchen. However, her way of taking revenge made Ningxu face bomb. She used cheating to take revenge on Xiuchen. The man who cheated on Xuejing was a colleague in the company. At that time, Xuejing was filled with anger and hatred. After that, Xuejing regretted it. However, this man had something on her and threatened her. They had sex several times. That man used this matter to treat Xuejing as a prostitute who would come and go as he pleased. If Xuejing didn't agree, he would tell the whole company about this. Xuejing lived in pain every day. This method of hurting the enemy was the stupidest. To someone who didn't care about you, even if you died in front of him, he wouldn't care. In the end, Xiuchen found out about Xuejing's affair. He divorced Xuejing and didn't want the house anymore. He gave it to her. They had been married for less than 2 years, and the house was still in debt. Now that he gave the house to Xuejing, she had to pay the mortgage alone. In the end, Xuejing found out that they only had a marriage certificate and nothing else. Yansuni, who had always vowed not to get married, finally married Xiuchen. They were a perfect couple. Moreover, Xiuchen's career was steadily rising and he was successful. Xuejing made a scene at the wedding but was chased out. Yansuni even told Xuejing that she had missed Xiuchen. If she hadn't cheated and told Xiuchen properly, things wouldn't have turned out like this. In the end, she even said that she hoped that she could give them her blessings and wished that she could find happiness. Xuejing was shocked. Then the two of them lived happily together. Xuejing's heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys were rubbed together. These people's evil deeds were actually rewarded, and they were so happy together. They were friends who grew up with her and were like family. How could they betray her like this? They used her and even acted as if they were doing her charity and that it was all her fault. How could there be such shameless people? Xuejing's wish was not to let that adulterous couple have a good life. Ningxu was speechless. She remembered that she had told 2333 that she wanted to find a simpler world. Why was she splashed with a basin of dog blood the moment she arrived? 2333 was really a witty retard. There were so many worlds, and there were always many things that could shatter one's worldview. Ningxu couldn't even remember how many times she had been someone's wife. Marriage was something that made people helpless and crazy. You treated it wholeheartedly, but what you received in return might not be wholeheartedly. It might even be mentally and physically destroyed. It was more exciting than trading stocks. Marriage was filled with all kinds of dangers. If you weren't careful, you would hit the rocks. Every family had its own difficulties. Which family's husband was violent? Which family's husband had an affair, and which family's husband had a mistress? No matter how hard you tried, you couldn't stop some women from taking off their pants. Ningxu didn't agree with Xuejing's betrayal of Xiuchen. Shouldn't she have taken the man with her? Why did she have to fight over him? Men were the original sin. Why didn't she just eliminate the source? Why did she have to push herself to another man? She couldn't control her anger and did something stupid. Chapter 1151. Very few women could maintain a clear mind when their marriage failed. They were all hysterical, crying and begging, or wanting to chop the adulterous couple to death. Anger was useless. It couldn't solve anything. All the anxiety came from the confusion and fear of the future. But everything would pass. Solving the problem was the key. When one was unlucky, one had to control one's temper because there was more than one unlucky thing. If one didn't fight, one wouldn't panic. If one wasn't stubborn, one would be flexible. If one didn't beg, one would be neither servile nor overbearing. Ningxu didn't have any feelings for these people. She didn't ask for anything from them. So, nothing they did affected her. She was strong without desires. But it was disgusting to watch. Ningxu originally wanted to come here to relax, but it turned out to be a chicken feather. Especially now that everything was on the table. And Xiuchen was living with Yansuni without any scruples. The most speechless thing was that Xuejing had cheated. Ningxu scratched her head. She slept on the sofa the whole night. Xuejing was alone in the house. Now she had to pay the mortgage every month. Ningxu was speechless. Ningxu hammered his chest, trying to get rid of the depression in his heart. Wasn't there a saying that went, "Living well is the greatest revenge"? Why did she have to torture herself like this? But the two people who colluded were really despicable. They didn't have any regrets. Yansuni even acted as if she was giving alms to you, but you didn't grasp it. And Xiuchen didn't care about Xuejing at all. What did I owe you? Ningxu felt that her worldview had been shattered into dumplings. Her worldview was constantly being reshaped. Compared to these people, Ningxu felt that she was as pure as a little white rabbit in the forest. Ningxu rubbed her stomach. She felt a little hungry. She got up and opened the fridge to see if there was anything to eat. The fridge was empty and dirty. It looked like it hadn't been cleaned for a long time. Ningxu took out 2 packets of instant noodles. No matter what, she had to fill her stomach first. Ningxu finished cooking the noodles and finished the large bowl of instant noodles in no time. While eating the noodles, Ningxu was sweating all over. He felt very carefree. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Ningxu burped and sat cross-legged on the sofa, thinking about the current situation. The current situation was the worst-case scenario. And Xiuchen would soon find out about her affair. There was also a man who had something on her, threatening her at every turn. There was also Yansuni, the culprit who caused the tragedy of the original owner. Ningxu's first impression was that Yansuni's worldview was quite unique, and she never felt that she was wrong. The fault lies with others. Having different worldviews was really a terrible thing. Not to mention being friends, they couldn't even be enemies. She didn't know how the original owner got along with Yansuni for over 20 years. Ningxu supported her forehead with her hand. There were several terrible things to deal with. Which one should he deal with first? Forget it, I should cultivate first. Ningxu cast a spell and set up a spirit gathering array in the room, gathering the surrounding spiritual energy. Ningxu calmed down and cultivated. He couldn't be a burden if he wasn't feeling well. Ningxu was cultivating when his phone rang. Ningxu opened his eyes angrily. Because there was little spiritual energy in the modern world, Ningxu cultivated for a while without any effect. Now that he was interrupted by the phone, he was furious. Ning-Shu suppressed his irritation and picked up the phone on the coffee table. It was Wang Ke. Ning-Shu stared at the name. Isn't this the man that Shuejing had an affair with? Ning-Shu picked up the phone and said hello. There was a chuckle on the other side. Ning-Shu felt that it was so wretched. What's the matter? Ning-Shu asked. Hee, it's the weekend. I'll treat you to a meal. Come over. Wang Ke said to Ning-Shu. Ning-Shu rejected without hesitation. I'm not free. I'm not going. How can you not recognize me after pulling up your pants? Weren't you horny before? Wang Ke said unhappily. His voice was very loud and transmitted to Ning-Shu's ears through the phone. It made Ning-Shu's ears buzz. It was very unpleasant to hear. Wang Ke, what's your attitude? Ning-Shu said coldly. What attitude? You're my woman. You don't want to see everyone in the company know about our relationship tomorrow. Wang Ke threatened coldly. Someone in the office who didn't have a relationship with Wang Ke before couldn't tell that Wang Ke was such a person. Now he was showing his ugly side. Therefore, it was always the woman who was at a disadvantage. This society was too harsh on women. This Wang Ke took advantage of Shuejing and even threatened her. He wanted to take advantage of her more. Otherwise, he would spread the news. Shuejing was afraid and let Wang Ke have his way a few times. Unlike in Shuchen, who boasted that he was single, Shuejing's colleagues in the company all knew that she was married. However, having an extramarital affair and with her colleagues in the same company, what would her colleagues think of her? Ning-Shu's face was cold. Tolerating this kind of trash would only make him unscrupulous. Ning-Shu rolled his eyes and tried to think of a way to deal with this Wang Ke. Hurry up and come over. Wang Ke urged Ning-Shu on the phone again. Ning-Shu said indifferently, I'm not feeling well today. Let's go tomorrow. I don't have work tomorrow anyway. You're looking for excuses. Wang Ke said angrily. Do you believe that I'll send an email to the company right now? Ning-Shu rolled his eyes. I'm still on my period. Wang Ke was silent for a moment. Then I'll wait for you tomorrow. You have to find something remote. Do you understand? Ning-Shu said to Wang Ke. Wang Ke saw that Ning-Shu was so tactful and told him the time and place. He repeatedly threatened Ning-Shu that he had to go before hanging up the phone. Ning-Shu stared at the phone and was speechless. 2333. What kind of world did you choose for me? Ning-Shu placed her phone on the coffee table. She tapped her fingers on her knees and got up from the sofa. After washing up, she put on a jacket and went out with her bag. Ning-Shu went to the pharmacy to buy some wormwood and heaven blue and other herbs. He also bought a lot of things. He had to continue to live his life. He had to eat and drink enough to have the energy to do things. There was not much spiritual energy in the modern world, so he had to rely on the energy of food. Back home, Ning-Shu began to process these herbs. He put them together to boil the medicine. Then he collected the steam from these herbs and slowly boiled the steam. Finally, he collected a small bottle of medicine. Ning-Shu put the medicine in his bag and began to cultivate. No matter what, he had to have the power to protect himself. Otherwise, he could only be trampled on. Without the power to resist, everything was in vain. Ning-Shu formed a hand seal and set up a spirit gathering array. A thin layer of spirit qi gathered in the surroundings and Ning-Shu quickly absorbed it. Traces of qi strength appeared in her dantian. She did not know how long she had been cultivating. When Ning-Shu woke up, the sky was already bright. It was the next morning. Chapter 1152. Ning-Shu got down from the sofa and felt much more comfortable. The qi from the peerless martial arts would slowly repair his body. Shuejing had been under a lot of pressure and her body was under a lot of stress. Many things weighed heavily on her heart. Her mind was in a mess and she didn't know what to do. She was like a walking corpse. Ning-Shu opened the curtains and the sun shone on Ning-Shu's face. Ning-Shu covered his eyes with his hand. In that instant, Ning-Shu's heart cleared up. Thinking about the universe and the thousands of planes, he was just an insignificant person. Nothing was a problem. There was nothing that couldn't be solved. Ning-Shu took a deep breath and inhaled the car exhaust in his lungs. Ning-Shu hummed a tune as he prepared breakfast for himself and ate it slowly. He worked hard to pay off his mortgage and worked hard to get to the peak of his life. After eating a few breakfasts, he He started cultivating again. Until now, and Xiuqin and Yansuni hadn't called to explain this matter. Who knew how to live a carefree life now? Ningxu really couldn't figure out why Yansuni would let her best friend marry her boyfriend even after racking her brains. In the end, she was selfish. She didn't want to get married, but she didn't want to give up on Xiuqin. In the end, she even felt that she was giving Xuejing out of charity. In her heart, was Xuejing really that bad? Xuejing had graduated from a prestigious university and was one of the more capable employees in the company. However, she wasn't as pretty as her. Actually, Yansuni was still mocking Xuejing for being an old lady who couldn't get married. She didn't want to get married, but there were many people who wanted to marry her. Her boyfriend's family urged him to get married, and Xuejing was an old lady who hated marriage. Yansuni came up with this idea. To Yansuni, her boyfriend was still her boyfriend even if he got married. This was the first time Ningxu had seen something like this. Who knew what would happen to her in the future? Ningxu was in the middle of her cultivation when she was interrupted by her phone's ringtone. Ningxu stopped cultivating and picked up his phone. A roar came from the other end. Xuejing, I've been waiting for you. It's been almost 2 hours since the agreed time. Where have you been? Are you going back on your word? Wang Ke's voice was incomparably angry. I'll give you another half an hour. If you don't arrive by then, I'll send an email about what happened between us to the company tomorrow morning. If you don't want me to tell your husband, you better hurry up. Don't make me angry. I'm very unhappy. Ningxu placed the phone on the table and listened to the person on the other side of the phone roar. He calmly tied up his hair. Ningxu put on a thick layer of makeup, which made her look different from before. She changed into pants and clothes. Was she wearing a skirt to make it convenient for that bastard? After cleaning up, Wang Ke was still cursing on the other end of the phone. Ningxu stuffed his phone into his bag and looked at the medicine he made yesterday. He changed his shoes at the entrance and went out in high spirits. Even if this world wasn't a place to relax, he still wanted to do it. Ningxu called a taxi and went to the place Wang Ke said. The place Wang Ke said was a small hotel. Wang Ke was wandering in front of the hotel. Wang Ke was a skinny man. He was still single and didn't even have a girlfriend. That's why he grabbed Xuejing. The taxi stopped in front of the hotel and Ningxu paid the fare. What are you doing? Do you know how long I've been waiting for you? Wang Ke came over to Ningxu and said unhappily. Ningxu turned to look at Wang Ke. Wang Ke was ordinary and not outstanding. He was just a small employee in the company. That's why no woman liked him. Although Xuejing wasn't as pretty as Yansuni, she was still a pretty woman who was pleasing to the eye. Wang Ke probably knew his condition, so he forced Xuejing to have sex with him every time. Ningxu said lightly, I said I have something to do. Accompany your husband? Don't forget that I also got your husband. I'm also your man. You have to accompany me too, okay? Wang Ke sneered and said. Go in. Wang Ke reached out to grab Ningxu's arm. Ningxu easily dodged. I can walk by myself. Wang Ke glanced at Ningxu. He didn't care about Ningxu's resistance and went to the counter to get a room. Do you have money? Wang Ke asked Ningxu. Ningxu was speechless. As if he felt Ningxu's look of disdain, Wang Ke hurriedly explained. I usually pay by card. I don't carry cash with me. Ningxu's mouth twitched. He wanted to sleep with her and he still wanted her to pay for the room. Ningxu was really disgusted. What happened to relaxing? Sir, you can pay by card. The waiter said. Wang Ke's face trembled and he took out his card. It was only 100 yuan, and he still had to pay by card. Give us a room on the second floor. Ningxu said, bring us some water. We want to drink. Wang Ke took the room card and went upstairs. When he went upstairs, Wang Ke didn't behave himself and wanted to touch Ningxu's waist. Ningxu dodged in a flash. After entering the room, Ningxu looked around the room. There was a bed and a bathroom. Wang Ke hurriedly took off his clothes and wanted to hug Ningxu. Ningxu dodged, which made Wang Ke very unhappy. He said impatiently, You're already here. Why are you still being so pretentious? Ningxu smiled brightly. It's boring like this. We want to have fun. Wang Ke showed an excited look and said, How do you want to play? I'll let you. At this moment, the doorbell rang. It was the water delivery guy. Wang Ke hurriedly took off his clothes. When someone came, he immediately huddled under the quilt. Ning Shu took over the kettle and poured some water into a cup. She then put in the medicine she made yesterday and shook it a little. "Drink this," Ning Shu said to Wang Ke. "Okay." Wang Ke was now excited and nervous. His throat was dry and itchy. He took the water from Ning Shu. Wang Ke gulped down the water. Ning Shu asked, "What are we playing now?" Ning Shu smiled and said, "Don't worry. Let's play something exciting." Wang Ke shook his head. He looked a little tired. He raised his eyes and saw Ning Shu walking over. Ning Shu reached out and strangled Wang Bo's neck. Then he let go. Wang Bo's face was abnormally frightened. He tried his best to pull his neck. He looked like he couldn't breathe. In Wang Bo's eyes, this woman looked ferocious and wanted to kill him. She was strangling his neck with all her strength. He couldn't breathe. Wang Bo grabbed the glass and hit the woman's head with all his strength. In fact, he hit himself. Then in Wang Bo's eyes, this woman was killed by him. But he still couldn't breathe. Ning Shu took the lipstick and drew a bloody mouth on his face. He shouted at Wang Bo, "Give me back my life. Kill me." Chapter 1153. Ning Shu opened his mouth wide, his body swaying as he reached out to strangle Wang Ke's neck. Wang Ke was so scared that his face was convulsing. He closed his eyes and waved his hand. "Don't come over, don't come over." Ning Shu said coldly, "You killed me, I want you to pay with your life." "No, I didn't do it on purpose." Wang Ke's pupils constricted as he watched Ning Shu approach. In Wang Ke's eyes, Ning Shu's face was covered in blood and his hair was disheveled. He looked like a ghost. "I won't let you go. You forced me and killed me. I'm going to pester you." Ning Shu squeezed out a voice from his throat. It was very creepy and filled with strong resentment, which made Wang Ke's body tremble even more. "It wasn't me. I didn't do it on purpose. Please forgive me." Wang Ke begged. "You still want to tell others about this? Wang Ke, give me your life." Ning Shu reached out to strangle Wang Ke's neck. Wang Ke sobbed and looked very scared. In the end, he couldn't take it anymore and ran out of the hotel naked. When he went downstairs, he directly rolled down the stairs and ran away. He ran out naked, causing all kinds of screams. The passers-by on the road all covered their eyes. Wang Ke, on the other hand, seemed to have encountered something extremely terrifying as he stumbled as he ran. In the end, he was caught by the patrolling traffic police and was taken to the detention center. Wang Ke was even more scared when he saw the police. Subconsciously, he killed someone. Wang Ke's whole body was trembling like a sieve. He didn't say a word and looked at Xue Jing, whose face was covered in blood. "I killed someone, I killed someone," Wang Ke murmured. "Let me go, I won't do it again." When the police heard this, they went to the scene. There was no dead body at all. After Wang Ke ran away, Ning Shu went to the bathroom to wash the lipstick off his face. He took out a wide-brimmed hat from his bag and went out of the hotel. On Monday, Wang Ke didn't go to work. Ning Shu looked at Wang Ke's seat and smiled faintly. Lecherous thoughts, but not the guts. Don't you see how many people and ghosts are still in love? Just like ghosts, they're scared to this extent. The head of the office contacted Wang Ke, but the police said that Wang Ke had run away and would be detained for 2 days. The leader was speechless. Now, everyone in the company knew about Wang Ke's secret. After getting out of the detention center, Wang Ke went to work, but he was not in good spirits. When the people in the company saw Wang Ke, they couldn't help covering their mouths and laughing. The drug that Ning Shu gave Wang Ke was a strong hallucinogen that could cause people to hallucinate and cause drastic changes in their emotions. At that time, Wang Ke's thinking was distorted. Everything he saw and heard was distorted by Wang Ke. Wang Ke gulped down the water, looking extremely tired. At the same time, there was an indescribable panic and fear on his face. "Hey Wang Ke, why are you in the police station?" A male colleague stretched out his hand and patted Wang Ke's shoulder. Wang Ke was so scared that he fell from his chair and sat on the ground. The male colleague's hand stopped in midair. He looked at Wang Ke in surprise. "Are you okay? I just patted you lightly." Wang Ke panicked and got up from the ground. He pulled a chair and sat down. I'm doing performance art. Performance art, you're really interesting. The male colleague couldn't help but say. The other female colleagues looked at Wang Ke's strange behavior. Ningxu stood up and handed the folder to Wang Ke. He faintly said, "Take this document and print it." Wang Ke raised his head and stretched out his hand to take the document. When he saw Ningxu, his whole body froze. Ningxu was wearing bright red lipstick today. Because of the powder on her face, her complexion was very pale, which made her mouth even redder, bright red and glistening. At this moment, Ningxu was smiling at Wang Ke, revealing his porcelain white teeth. His teeth were stained with lipstick, which looked particularly strange. In an instant, all the hair on Wang Ke's body stood up. His head buzzed, making Wang Ke's brain go blank. Ningxu frowned and unhappily said, "What are you doing? Hurry up and copy it. You didn't come to work a few days ago, so there's a backlog of work here. Hurry up and hand in your copy." Wang Ke just stared blankly at Ningxu's bright red lips wriggling, as if he had drunk blood. His teeth were covered with blood. "There's a ghost." Wang Ke issued a sharp scream from his throat. His colleagues in the office were startled. They stared blankly at Wang Ke, who suddenly went crazy. Wang Ke fell to the ground. He kept retreating with a look of fear. Ningxu was also dumbfounded. He turned to his colleague and asked, "What's wrong with him?" "I think there's something wrong with his brain." The colleague couldn't help but roll his eyes. Ningxu took the document and walked toward Wang Ke. Wang Ke rolled and crawled away from Ningxu. "Don't come over, don't come over." "Wang Ke, what's wrong with you?" Ningxu snappily said. As soon as Ningxu approached Wang Ke was terrified. "There's a ghost, a ghost." "Hey Wang Ke, she's not a ghost. She's Shuejing," a colleague said. He then looked at Ningxu. "But Shuejing, your makeup skills are not up to standard. White face and red lips, you do look like a ghost." Ningxu rolled his eyes. "Nonsense, white face and black lips would look like a ghost. This is charming and sexy makeup." "Sexy makeup? Look at how scared Wang Ke is," the female colleague snappily said. "She's a ghost, not a human, a ghost." Wang Ke shouted. "Can't you see that she's a ghost?" Ningxu helplessly waved his hand at the crowd and returned to his seat. Wang Ke stared at Ningxu and carefully returned to his seat. He couldn't help but hit his head and rubbed his eyes before looking at Ningxu. Ningxu pulled his scarlet lips and said with dissatisfaction, "Wang Ke, do you have something against me?" Wang Ke's face turned green. He didn't dare to look at Ningxu. His expression was extremely confused, as if he couldn't find his bearings. For the whole day, Wang Ke was in a daze. He did everything in a daze. Every time someone called him, he would only react after a few times. The supervisor had been observing Wang Ke, but Wang Ke couldn't feel it. Every time Ningxu spoke to Wang Ke's face would tremble as he stared at Ningxu in a daze. As soon as Ningxu came closer, Wang Ke trembled in fear. "I was wrong. Don't follow me anymore. I was really wrong." Everyone in the office stared at Ningxu. Ningxu waved his hand. "Am I really that scary?" "Is he crazy?" someone asked. "Kind of." The others nodded. Wang Ke looked like a crazy person. Others said that Wang Ke looked like a crazy person, but Wang Ke felt that these people were blind. Chapter 1154. The woman was already dead, but these people were still talking to her and working with her. "She's a ghost, she's already dead, wake up!" Wang Ke screamed. Wang Ke felt like he was the only one awake in this world. This feeling was too painful. She's dead, she's really dead. In Wang Ke's mind, this woman was smashed in the head by him with a glass, and her face was covered in blood. "Everyone," that Ningxu asked, "how did I die? Tell me." Yue. Even though there was still the effect of the hallucinogen in his body, Wang Ke didn't dare to say that he killed Ningxu. "What are you doing? It's time to work. What's the fuss?" The supervisor came out of the office and stared at everyone with an unfriendly face. Everyone in the office returned to their seats. The supervisor was especially unfriendly and stared at Wang Ke in a daze. "Come to my office," the supervisor said. Wang Ke stood still and stared at Ningxu, who was looking at the computer. Seeing that Wang Ke didn't follow, the supervisor opened the office door. stuck his head out and roared, "Hurry up!" Wang Ke trembled and hurried into the supervisor's office. The supervisor's voice could be vaguely heard from outside the office. When Wang Ke came out, he looked very disappointed. "Wang Ke, are you okay?" a colleague asked Wang Ke. "The supervisor told me to go back and rest," Wang Ke said. Wang Ke was not fit to work at all. Wang Ke didn't say that the supervisor told him to go and have his brain checked. He didn't have a problem, but these people did. "Wang Ke, come back to work when you're done resting. The company can't do without you," Ning Xu said to Wang Ke faintly. The hair on Wang Ke's face stood up. He shuddered and ran away without looking back. Ning Xu shrugged helplessly at everyone. Seeing the folder on Wang Ke's desk, he picked it up and chased after Wang Ke. "Wang Ke, wait, your folder." Wang Ke looked back and saw Ning Xu with his mouth wide open. He ran even faster. Don't chase me, please let me go, please." Ning Xu stopped and looked indifferently at Wang Ke's panicked back. She was too weak. How did she look like a ghost? She should at least be slapped to see if she was a human or a ghost. Ning Xu took Wang Ke's briefcase back to his office and threw it on Wang Ke's desk. "Where's Wang Ke? You didn't give the bag to him?" The female colleague sitting next to Ning Xu asked. "He ran away. When he saw me, it was as if he had seen a ghost," Ning Xu said snappily. Then he began to work. After resting for a few days, Wang Ke came to the company to resign. The supervisor was not satisfied with Wang Ke in his heart. Wang Ke was the kind of employee in the office who had no taste for food and no taste for abandoning. On top of that, Wang Ke had been a little crazy recently, so he took the initiative to resign, and didn't even have to pay him 3 months' salary. Therefore, the supervisor agreed without hesitation. Wang Ke packed his things and left. Ning Xu asked Wang Ke, "Do you have a problem with me? Why did you resign?" Wang Ke's face turned green. He looked at Ning Xu with smoky makeup and dark circles under his eyes. What do you want?" "I don't want anything." Ning Xu dragged his words. Wang Ke hurriedly packed his things and ran away with the briefcase. Ning Xu heaved a long sigh of relief. So far, one of them had been dealt with. That bastard was scared to death. If Wang Ke still wanted to find trouble with her, she had a backup plan. The hallucinogen was very strong and had a certain effect on the central nervous system. If Wang Ke still wanted to pester her, then she would have to experience the same feeling again. After dealing with Wang Ke, there would be no danger of exposing her affair. The things that people did when they were angry were usually not the smartest. Don't make the wrong decision when you are angry. This decision was 100% wrong. Why did you have to use such a stupid way to take revenge? A man's pride couldn't stand a woman cheating on him. The premise was that the man cared about the woman. Did Xiuchen look like someone who cared about Xuejing? After settling this matter, the next thing was Xiuchen and Yan Suni's matter. How should he settle it? Ning Xu thought about it repeatedly in his mind. Speaking of which, it was quite tough. This family was basically controlled by Xuejing. Moreover, before the two of them got married, they didn't have a prenuptial agreement. Xuejing didn't even know how much money Xiuchen had. Xuejing was the one who paid the down payment for the wedding house. Xuejing was the one who paid all the expenses. So, was there a difference between marriage and not marriage? Furthermore, she had to serve Xiuchen, wash his underwear, rub his socks, iron his shirt, and wake up early in the morning to prepare breakfast. After the showdown, Xiuchen took out Xuejing's neatly folded clothes from the closet and placed them in the briefcase. Then, he dragged the briefcase and left. Ning Xu cultivated until the next morning. After breakfast, he went to look for Xiuchen. Ning Xu arrived at Yan Suni's house and pressed the doorbell. Yan Suni opened the door. Her hair was loose and she was wearing a long t-shirt, revealing a pair of fair and slender legs. She was barefoot and her small pink toes were painted with red nail polish. Her feet looked especially good on the carpet. So beautiful. The model's figure was really not to be underestimated. She looked so good in a t-shirt. She looked good even when wrapped in curtains. Jingjing. Yan Suni looked at Ning Xu with a complicated expression and turned to the side. Come in. Ning Xu changed his shoes at the entrance and walked into the living room. He sized up Yan Suni's house. Yan Suni's house was decorated fashionably and beautifully. To be honest, as a woman, she had to be an exquisite woman like Yansuni. But why did she have to push others into the fire pit? She didn't ask for you to do anything for others, but she also didn't want to push others into the fire pit. Perhaps Yansuni didn't think it was a fire pit. Drink, this is your favorite juice. Yansuni placed a glass of orange juice in front of Ningxu and sat down opposite him. When she sat down, her legs looked especially long. They were fair, tender, and beautiful. Beauty was a gift from God. Although Yansuni's work ability wasn't as good as Xuejing's, her savings were much better than Xuejing's. Ningxu didn't drink the juice and asked Yansuni, "Where's Xiuchen? I want to talk to him." He went to work overtime. He had an impromptu meeting. Yansuni brushed her hair and said. Ningxu was speechless. The atmosphere was so awkward. A wife asking her husband's girlfriend where her husband went? This relationship was really complicated and abnormal, but Xiuchen and Yansuni didn't think it was wrong. Because from the beginning, Xuejing's existence was to avoid the existence of Xiuchen's parents. They didn't think that Xuejing would affect their relationship. Chapter 1155. Xiuchen and Yansuni didn't have any burdens. They treated Xuejing as if she didn't exist. Xuejing was the only one who cared. It made Xuejing look like the crazy one. The two looked at each other speechlessly. Yansuni sighed. Ningxu said, Jing, didn't I tell you that you and Xiuchen should live happily? I won't destroy your marriage. You know that I won't get married, but you're still throwing a tantrum. Although he knew that Yansuni often said this when he received the storyline, Ningxu couldn't help but tremble when he heard it from Yansuni's mouth. Are the three of us going to maintain this relationship? Ningxu asked in surprise. The problem is that I'm already married to Xiuchen. Xiuchen is already married. Marriage is a responsibility and a responsibility. He should bear the corresponding legal and moral obligations to his family and society. Ningxu stared at Yansuni. But Xiuchen has already given you a marriage. Yansuni looked helpless. She brushed her hair behind her ear. Jing, I don't know what you're upset about. Xiuchen and I were originally a couple. I've already said countless times that I won't destroy your marriage. I definitely won't. Ningxu, stop talking. I want to be alone. Don't you think that your relationship with Xiuchen is immoral? Ningxu couldn't help but ask. Ningxu felt very tired. He felt like he couldn't communicate with her. Yansuni felt that Ningxu was being unreasonable, but Ningxu felt that Yansuni was fucking righteous. She was clearly using her good friend, but she still acted like she was doing charity. That was how she was acting now. Ningxu was also shocked by Xiao Tianxuan's words. Immoral. From a certain point of view, marriage is immoral. It restricts one's freedom to pursue love. Who can guarantee that they will only love one person in their life? Everyone has the right to pursue happiness, Yansuni said while looking at Ningxu. Ningxu rolled his eyes. Since you want to be a rapist, why did you enter Besieged City in the first place? Since you're married, you should at least follow the contract and abide by the rules of the game. If you break the rules like this, then don't play anymore. If Xiuchen was single, I wouldn't care if he played like this, Ningxu said impatiently. Yansuni pouted. Isn't it because Xiuchen's parents are very sensitive? Ningxu. Damn, I'm completely speechless. What should I do? You don't want to get married, so you want me to marry him? Ningxu really wanted to crack open Yansuni's beautiful head to see what was inside. Aren't you in a hurry to get married? He's also in a hurry to get married. Perfect my ass. Ningxu had never felt so powerless before. He didn't want to talk to her at all. He didn't want to talk. Even if the original owner was an old leftover woman, it didn't mean that she would marry any man. Ningxu picked up the fruit juice on the coffee table and drank it. After talking for a while, his mouth was dry. In the end, he was playing the lute to a cow. You say you're right, I say I'm right. They couldn't be together at all. Yansuni reached out and held Ningxu's hand. Ningxu flung her hand away without thinking. Yansuni looked a little stunned and a little sad. Jing, we grew up together and shared everything. You just have to live a good life with Xiuchen. I can give Xiuchen love, but I can't give him marriage. You two are going to be together forever. I'm only seizing the day and night. I don't ask for eternity. Yansuni looked at Ningxu. I hope that we won't think that this matter is estranged. Ningxu's face was cold. Be a bitch. Ningxu wasn't angry at all. He only felt powerless. It was an indescribable sense of powerlessness. Yansuni didn't think that she was wrong. She couldn't even realize that she was wrong. How could you expect her to feel guilty? Instead, she felt that you were heartless, unrighteous, and unreasonable. Why are you here this time? Yansuni changed the topic. Ningxu passed the glass of fruit juice to Yansuni. I'm very thirsty. Pour me another glass. Yansuni was stunned and poured another glass. Ningxu gulped it down and said, I'll wait for Xiuchen to come back. Okay. Yansuni agreed without hesitation. The two of them silently waited for Xiuchen to come back. Yansuni started to do yoga and exercise. Ningxu sat cross-legged on the sofa and practiced his ultimate martial arts. Xiuchen only came back in the afternoon. He was wearing a well-ironed suit and was tall. He was also handsome. Ningxu always felt that this plot should be about a city couple looking for love. The main characters were Yansuni and Xiuchen. After going around in circles, they finally got married. True love finally made the unmarried Yansuni get married. When Xiuchen saw Ningxu, he didn't say anything and frowned. Yansuni said to Xiuchen first, talk nicely. Don't quarrel. Ningxu was speechless. Ningxu really couldn't get used to this strange relationship. Ningxu's heart thumped. Husband, wife, mistress, this, and Xiuchen put down his bag and tugged at his tie. Ningxu asked, have you thought it through? Do you want to get a divorce? Xiuchen, you can't get a divorce. If you get a divorce, how are you going to explain it to your parents? Jing just can't figure it out. Yansuni said quickly. If the two of them got a divorce, she would be forced to get married as Xiuchen's girlfriend. She would rather die than get married. Her soul was free. Marriage would only imprison her soul. A woman's beautiful life wasn't just about marriage. Yansuni was a little afraid of marriage, but more than that, she didn't want to be tied down. This kind of marriage will hurt everyone. Why don't we just get a divorce? I'm not good enough. That's why you don't want to marry me. Xiuchen said helplessly. Ningxu stomped his feet. I'm fucking beside you. I'm beside you, beside you, beside you. The three of us are in this kind of relationship. If you can accept it, we won't get a divorce. If you can't accept it, then we'll get a divorce, Xiuchen said to Ningxu. Ningxu's hand was itching. He really wanted to give this guy a big slap. Ningxu revealed a sinister smile. I agree. The three of us will live happily together. Jing, it's good that you've thought it through. Yansuni grabbed Ningxu's hand. That's great. Ningxu was speechless. Everyone is great. Everyone is great. Ningxu said, panting. Yansuni happily went to pack Xiuchen's things. After a while, Yansuni finished packing. It seemed that Yansuni was very happy that Xiuchen left with Ningxu quickly. Ningxu was confused. Yansuni was definitely the weirdest and most unbelievable person that Ningxu had ever met. You guys can go, Yansuni said. Don't fight anymore. Ningxu was speechless. What should she say? What should she say? She felt helpless in front of such a person. Chapter 1156. Xiuchen looked at Yansuni helplessly and said, Do you want to chase me away so badly? Hurry up and leave. You know I don't like to live together as a couple, Yansuni said. Xiuchen said with concern, Be careful when you're alone at home. Yes, I know. Jing is a good woman and a good wife. You have to treat her well, Yansuni said to Xiuchen. Ningxu's face was cold. You can come over when you miss me. Ningxu's face was still cold. Yansuni said to Ningxu, Jing, don't worry. I've never shared a bed with Xiuchen. We sleep separately. Ningxu's face was still cold. Love is beautiful and shouldn't be blasphemed by marriage. Think about it. The person you thought was beautiful in the past is now sleeping beside you, grinding his teeth, picking his nose, scratching his feet, and not even closing the door when he goes to the toilet. What a horrible thing it is. Waking up every morning to a greasy face and a stinky mouth is a disaster. All the beautiful things will be destroyed. Yansuni reached out and hugged Ningxu. Jing Jing, I won't destroy your marriage. Ningxu, I want to be alone. Hurry up and leave. Yansuni let go of Ningxu and said to Enshuchen and Ningxu. Yansuni hugged Enshuchen again. Hurry up and leave. Enshuchen kissed Yansuni's face and left with his luggage. Seeing Ningxu in a daze, he said coldly, let's go. Coming, Ningxu said with a sharp voice. Ningxu even suspected that he was living in ancient times with multiple wives and concubines. He couldn't pick up his dick anymore. Ningxu and Enshuchen left Yansuni's house. Ningxu looked at Enshuchen, who was holding his luggage in front of him. He had a good figure and the suit on his body gave off a sense of abstinence. So what if he looked good? He was just a jerk. How could he exhaust Shuijing without any psychological burden? Ningxu sat in the front passenger seat. Enshuchen, who was driving, felt very handsome. A mature man had the charm of a mature man. Enshuchen gave all his tolerance and consideration to Yansuni. Yansuni didn't want to get married, so Enshuchen married Yansuni's best friend. Really, both of them were weirdos, fighters among weirdos. Back at home, Enshuchen passed the luggage to Ningxu. Obviously, he wanted Ningxu to hang up the clothes. Ningxu pretended not to see it and said indifferently, I'll go prepare dinner. Enshuchen could only hang the clothes himself. When they came down, Ningxu had already made 2 bowls of instant noodles. However, Ningxu's bowl was bigger. Enshuchen frowned. He pulled out a chair and sat across from Ningxu. Staring at the instant noodles, he asked, just this? I'll make do with it. I've been eating like this recently. I haven't adjusted my mood yet. Ningxu took a bite of the noodles. The slurping sound was a little loud, which made Enshuchen frown again. Ningxu said to Enshuchen, let me tell you something. My company is laying off people. I paid the down payment, renovated the house and bought furniture. I have no money left. Give me money. Enshuchen frowned. Why are you so vulgar? You talk about money the moment you open your mouth. Ningxu was speechless. Damn, not only was Yansuni living like a goddess, but so was Enshuchen. No, Enshuchen just didn't want to give her money. Damn, the instant noodles you're eating were bought by me. I'm so vulgar. I won't be able to pay the mortgage next month. Our names are on the property deed. I can't be the only one paying the mortgage. Ningxu slurped the soup and burped. Although there's a lot of preservatives, the taste is pretty good. Enshuchen looked away and asked, you called me back to ask me for money, right? Ningxu was speechless. He was speechless. Look at Enshuchen's aggrieved face. Do you think I can't live without you? If we can't pay, we'll have to sleep on the streets. Ningxu reached out his hand. Since we're going to live together for the rest of our lives, we have to go through thick and thin together. Ningxu smiled sinisterly. The 3 of us will live happily together forever. Enshuchen said calmly, actually, I don't want to marry you. I know, but we're married now. Ningxu reached out his hand. Give me money. But Yansuni said you're a good woman. I know. Give me money. I won't leave Yansuni. If you can't accept it, we can get a divorce. I know you can't leave her. The 3 of us can live happily together. Give me money. How much? Enshuchen gritted his teeth. Yansuni never asks me for money. Haha, what Yansuni wanted was a perfect love. The stink of money would only taint her love. 200,000, Ningxu said calmly. Enshuchen almost jumped up. How much? 200,000. When we got married, I bought everything in this house. 200,000 isn't much. Ningxu said unhappily. This house has both our names written on it. You want to get the real estate certificate as soon as possible, don't you? He was still paying off the mortgage and hadn't gotten the real estate certificate yet. Enshuchen frowned and said, I really don't like you being so calculative. I know you don't like it, but I still have to say it. Give me money. Give me money. Give me money. Give me money. Money, money, money. Why do you only care about money? Enshuchen's face was cold. If my name is on the real estate certificate, I can withdraw and let this house belong to you alone. Ningxu was speechless. Ningxu looked at Xiuchen from the corner of his eyes. What do you mean? Go to the bank tomorrow. I don't want to be the owner of this house, Xiuchen said. Ningxu, fuck. You mean you want to transfer the house to me? Ningxu stared at Xiuchen in disbelief. In order to not give him money, he wanted her name to be on the real estate certificate. That's it. We'll go to the bank tomorrow. Xiuchen made the final decision. Ningxu shook his head. I've seen the world, but I still lose to you. Ningxu was really convinced. Ningxu's lips twitched as she smiled and said, as long as you're happy. Xiuchen pushed the bowl away. I don't like instant noodles. With that, he stood up and walked into the room. Hey, you don't like instant noodles? Ningxu directly threw the instant noodles away. Eat it or not, I'd rather throw it away than give it to you. Ningxu tidied up the kitchen and heard the doorbell ring. Ningxu opened the door and saw a delivery man with fast food in his hands. He didn't want instant noodles and ordered takeout. Wait here, Ningxu said to the delivery man. Ningxu didn't give him money. When Xiuchen gave him money, he was very unhappy. Chapter 1157. Xiuchen wasn't happy that Ningxu didn't even pay for the fast food. He only had schemes in his mind. She always pulled a long face when eating. Xiuchen realized that this woman was even more annoying than before. Xiuchen sighed in his heart. Marrying such a woman was really torture. The next day, Xiuchen called Ningxu to the bank early in the morning to settle the mortgage. Then, the name on the property certificate quickly changed to Ningxu's name. In the plot, when the two of them divorced, Xiuchen gave the house to Xuejing. He let Xuejing pay the mortgage alone. Now, because she reached out to ask Xiuchen for money, Xiuchen directly removed her name from the property certificate. Now, not only did he not give her money, but he also had to live in her house, eat her food, use her things, give her a hard time, and still think about Yansuni. Ningxu was confused. Did she really look like an idiot? What was Xuejing after? Was she after Xiuchen? She was a good girl. But this house was completely hers. She could do whatever she wanted with it. Then there would be a good show. I didn't marry you for anything. Xiuchen said to Ningxu after they left the bank. Ningxu smiled and said, as long as you're happy. Ningxu wasn't angry at all. It wasn't worth it to be angry with such a shameless person. It was a waste of saliva to say more. I hope that we don't have much to do with each other. I don't like trouble, Xiuchen said. Ningxu was speechless. I'm ignoring you and you're still so smug. Why don't you say that you're a good person? Enough is enough. Do you know that our marriage, look at the sky. Ningxu pointed to the sky. Xiuchen looked up. A heart-wrenching sound was heard. Xiuchen fell into the sewer. The manhole cover was opened. Don't look when you're walking. A sound came from the sewer. Obviously, someone was cleaning up the garbage. Ningxu looked under the manhole cover. Xiuchen, are you okay? Xiuchen climbed up the ladder. He was filthy and smelly. Ningxu covered his nose and retreated in disgust. Xiuchen wiped the dirty water from his face and sniffed his hands. He stared at Ningxu. You did that on purpose. What did you tell me to look at? There's a plane. The plane is flying low, Ningxu said innocently. Xiuchen glared at Ningxu and went home to take a bath with dirty water dripping from his body. Xiuchen went into the bathroom to take a shower. Ningxu took a disposable handkerchief from the kitchen and put it on. He opened Xiuchen's folder and skimmed through the documents. Thanks to the wisdom attribute, her memory and comprehension had improved tremendously. These printouts were just some documents. Ningxu memorized the important parts and typed in Xiuchen's notebook. Xiuchen's notebook had a password. Ningxu stared at the screen and entered Yansuni's birthday. With Xiuchen's deep love for Yansuni, it was very likely Yansuni's birthday. Ningxu pressed the enter button. Wrong password? Ningxu was surprised. It wasn't Yansuni. Ningxu entered Xiuchen's birthday and the password was wrong. Ningxu's lips twitched. He entered their birthdays and the password was correct. Ningxu couldn't help but shed tears of gratitude. Ning Shu took a look at the bathroom. The water was running in the bathroom. And Xiuchen probably had to take a longer shower. Ning Shu flipped through Xiuchen's laptop and copied the important things. Ning Shu stared in the direction of the bathroom and looked at the progress of the copying. Hearing the sound of the water in the bathroom stop, Ning Shu quickly pulled out the USB and turned off the laptop. Then he slipped into the kitchen and chopped the pork ribs. And Xiuchen came out of the bathroom and wiped his hair with a towel. He stood at the kitchen door and looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu looked at Xiuchen expressionlessly. What? Did you do it on purpose today? Xiuchen stared at Ning Shu. He had bruises on his body when he was showering and his body was in pain. He had fallen from such a high place. What's in it for me if you fall? You took such a long shower. Don't you need to pay for the water and electricity? Ning Shu asked. Xiuchen frowned. Is there nothing else in your heart other than money? You grew up with Yansuni. Why is your temperament so different? Yansuni never cared about these things. Xiuchen couldn't help but say. Ning Shu used the knife to chop the pork ribs on the chopping board into 2 halves. He smiled and said, I'm just so tacky. Yansuni can live by breathing in the air of immortals. I need money to live. You've always been jealous of Yansuni? Xiuchen looked at Ning Shu's fake smile. You can't compare to Yansuni. Damn it. Ning Shu really wanted to chop Xiuchen up with a knife. No, chopping him up was too easy. He needed to cut his butt with a blunt knife. I won't be having lunch at home. Xiuchen went back to his room to change his clothes. Then he took his bag and laptop and left. Ning Shu happily put the ribs into the pot and stewed them. Then, she turned on her computer. He was ready to sell the design that he got. Ning Shu had copied the packaging design of Xiuchen's latest product in the USB drive. Ning Shu contacted Xiuchen's rival company and told them that he was from XX company. He also vaguely revealed his position. He wanted to sell the design and asked for a price. He wanted more money. After talking for a while, the other party gave him 30,000 yuan. Ning Shu sent the document over without hesitation. The detailed design drawings were sent over. When the pork rib soup was ready, Ning Shu received a message. He picked up some money for free. Great. Ning Shu finished the entire pot of pork rib soup. Then he sat on the sofa and began to cultivate. The food he ate slowly turned into energy that flowed through his body. After finishing her cultivation, Ning Shu turned on the GPS system. Unsurprisingly, she saw 2 red dots together. The location showed that they were in a Western restaurant. Oh, how romantic. Love and marriage were 2 different things. What Yansuni was afraid of was common in marriage. The 2 of them were together day and night. There was no longer any sense of mystery or novelty. Moreover, the other party's exposed flaws were getting more and more glaring. She wondered if Yansuni and Xiuchen would not share the same bed after they got married. Now, even if Yansuni was intimate with Xiuchen, she would kick him away and let him find a place to sleep. She would definitely not sleep together for a night. Before kissing, she had to brush her teeth and spray her mouth freshener. Yansuni would not show any indecent behavior. Because Yansuni could not stand the feeling of disillusionment. Yansuni was someone Ning Shu had never seen before. Chapter 1158. This was a happy world. Ning Shu expressed that 2333 was her confidant. Ning Shu really wanted to drag Xiuchen to a corner and beat him to the point of hospitalization. Just like that, the 3 of them maintained a strange balance. Sure enough, a triangle was the most stable shape. Xiuchen basically didn't have any emotional interactions with Ning Shu. He was all lovey-dovey with Yansuni. If Yansuni didn't let Xiuchen spend the night, Xiuchen would come back. Ning Shu really didn't know what to say. But why didn't Xiuchen react at all, when she had already sold his things? Ning Shu was still confused. One day, Xiuchen came back with a dark face. Ning Shu saw that there was hope and quickly asked, what happened? Ning Shu suppressed his excitement and looked at Xiuchen. Xiuchen slammed his bag on the sofa and sat on it, rubbing his forehead. What happened? Ning Shu asked again. Hurry up and tell me. Xiuchen sighed and said, I was fired from the company. Ning Shu, applause. Why? Ning-Shu asked in surprise. Even if you want to fire someone, there should be a reason. What's the reason? They said I sold the company's secrets and the hard work of an entire department. And Shuchen said angrily. This is my blood, sweat and tears. I would be crazy to do such a thing. Ning-Shu didn't say anything. He looked at Shuchen venting his anger. Shuchen was almost 40 years old, and it wasn't easy for him to climb to his current position. Maybe in another 2 years he would be promoted. But now that he sold the company's secrets, the company fired him in a fit of anger. It wasn't that Shuchen didn't explain, but the company didn't listen. Moreover, the other company's product came out first. The product and packaging were exactly the same. The other company had the advantage. The impact on the company wasn't small. They had to change the design. The product design and packaging design had to be changed too. They lost a lot of money unknowingly. Firing Shuchen was already merciful. Shuchen felt aggrieved. There were so many people in the company. How could they say that he was the one who leaked it? His superior didn't care about it and just pinned the blame on him. Shuchen was about to explode from anger. He had worked hard for the company for so many years. Even if he didn't make any contributions, he had at least worked hard. How could he be fired so heartlessly? Ning-Shu ignored the angry Shuchen and continued to chop the ribs in the kitchen. Shuchen felt uncomfortable, so he locked himself in the room and didn't come out even when it was time for dinner. Ning-Shu finished the whole pot of pork rib soup alone. After a few days of torment, Shuchen was finally reborn. He decided to start his own business and not be bullied by others. Ning-Shu agreed with both hands. If you want connections, you have them. You also have the ability. How good would it be to be your own boss? After receiving Ning-Shu's approval, Shuchen heaved a sigh of relief. Then Ning-Shu asked again. If you have the capital, what kind of business are you planning to do? I have saved some money over the years, Shuchen said. Ning-Shu. He knew this guy was rich, but he didn't know how much money he had. Does Suni know you want to start a business? Ning-Shu asked. I didn't tell her. I didn't want her to worry, Shuchen said. I waited until the matter was almost settled before telling her. Don't tell her either. Shuchen picked up his chopsticks and started eating. Aren't you guys in the same company? She should know that you were fired, right? Ning-Shu's mouth twitched. Shuchen wanted to appear in front of Suni with a successful image. He was afraid that Suni would see him in such a sorry state. Everyone had low points. Since they were so in love, they would definitely help each other. He was afraid that Suni wouldn't be able to stand the feeling of disillusionment. Then what kind of business do you want to start? It was difficult to succeed alone. Internet products, Shuchen said. Ning-Shu was confused. For example? Internet video products. Ning-Shu was still confused. For example? You won't understand even if I explain it to you. Shuchen didn't want to explain it to Ning-Shu. Ning-Shu didn't care and asked. How much did you invest in the initial stage? What's the return on investment? I know that, Shuchen said. Obviously, he didn't want to discuss this with Ning-Shu. In Shuchen's heart, Ning-Shu was an outsider. Ning-Shu shrugged. He really thought she wanted to ask. She just wanted to know how much money Shuchen had and how long it could support him. Shuchen left after eating. Obviously, he was busy with his business. Ning-Shu called Suni and asked if she knew that Shuchen had been fired. Suni said she knew. She said that Shuchen had leaked the company's design. Do you believe that Shuchen did it? Ning-Shu asked. Suni just said. It doesn't matter if I believe it or not. It's already like this. Ning-Shu suddenly had a feeling that Suni was actually a public nuisance for being single. If you seriously discussed survival with her, she would be filled with all kinds of romantic thoughts. It would make you seem especially vulgar. It was good to be single, but Suni had to have an overboard relationship with someone. Suni was a happy single person, but she brought a lot of trouble to the people around her. The relationship between the three of them couldn't be severed. Ning-Shu really wanted to chop off Shuchen's dick. Then this twisted relationship would be solved. Shuchen wants to start a business now. Money. Do you have money? Lend me some. And Xiuqin didn't want her to tell Yansuni, so she wanted to tell Yansuni. Yansuni asked, what business does he want to start? Jing Jing, you know that I don't have much savings. I might not be able to help you, but if you need help, you can tell me, Yansuni said. Ningxu was speechless. And Xiuqin is at the lowest point in his life. You should comfort him. Ningxu said to Yansuni. When he's with you, don't chase him away. Ningxu felt that he was so virtuous. I know, Yansuni said. You really don't have money? Can you lend some to Xiuqin? Ningxu asked Yansuni again. Yansuni said seriously, Jing Jing, I really don't have much money. You know that I spend a lot. I like to buy clothes and all kinds of cosmetics. Oh, I see, Ningxu said. Therefore, women should buy more clothes and nice things. Xuejing spent all her money in this family, but she didn't get any praise. Yansuni suddenly said to Ningxu, Jing Jing, live well with Xiuqin. Don't be like before. Ningxu heard this and felt that Yansuni wanted to dump Xiuqin on him. Did Yansuni not like Xiuqin? Chapter 1159. He felt that Yansuni's relationship was based on feelings, not love. If the person didn't have feelings, she wouldn't like him. Moreover, he had to be very pure. If the person wasn't perfect, or if he posted something that affected his image, Yansuni wouldn't have feelings for him. Yansuni, are you quitting? Ningxu asked, amused. Quitting what? Yansuni shook her head. I still like Xiuqin, but I hope that you guys can be happy. Ningxu hung up. Every time he spoke to Yansuni, Ningxu felt that his worldview was starting to shake. He was afraid that it wouldn't be able to hold on and collapse. Not long after he spoke to Yansuni, Xiuqin called and scolded Ningxu for telling Yansuni about his business, and even borrowing money from her. Xiuqin felt very awkward and embarrassed. He felt that Ningxu had ruined his perfect image in Yansuni's heart. Ningxu hung up the phone without hesitation. Both of them were crazy. This kind of thing had already reached the point of nitpicking. According to Ningxu's twisted view of love, being true to oneself was more important than anything else. It was to stay true to oneself, not to change oneself or pretend to be oneself. I'm just like this. Whether you like me or not, it's none of my business. Xiuqin and Yansuni's relationship was to show their perfect side to the other party. Yansuni probably didn't know that Xiuqin was very stingy and selfish. Perhaps he was very generous in front of Yansuni. During this period of time, Xiuqin had been running around. Finally, his thing was completed. It was a video website with all kinds of videos, anime, TV series, movie news, live-action shows. Netizens could upload their own videos and complain. A website like this could gather a lot of traffic. This era was the internet era. Xiuqin could succeed in making a video website like this. However, the website was a little rough now, but the prototype was already out. Xiuqin was full of energy every day. He had invested a lot of manpower, resources, and money. However, Xiuqin's funds were a little tight. He even asked Ningxu for a loan. Do you have any savings? Lend me some. Ningxu faintly said, if I have money, I won't be unable to pay the mortgage. Go and borrow from Yansuni. Xiuqin didn't say anything. It seemed that for the sake of self-esteem, he would not speak to Yansuni. Why could he ask her for money so brazenly? Just because he didn't have to maintain his image in front of her? Xiuqin added, why don't we borrow some from your parents? Ningxu was speechless. My parents don't have any money. When we got married, you didn't give my parents a single cent. I gave them some money. Even if my parents were to be torn apart, they wouldn't have any money. Ningxu said with a cold face. Xiuqin frowned. Why are you so calculative? We're husband and wife. We're going to spend the rest of our lives together. What good will it do you if I fail? But can you make money without money? Ningxu's face was full of helplessness. You can borrow some money from your parents. My parents don't have money either. Ningxu was speechless. Then we have no choice but to get a loan from the bank. Xiuqin sighed and said, but what about the mortgage? Xiuqin glanced at Ningxu. Ningshu's heart skipped a beat, but he didn't say anything. And Xiuchen said, "Use this house as a mortgage." Ningshu was speechless. This black-hearted bastard. She had to pay the mortgage alone, and now she had to use this house as a mortgage. If Xiuchen's business failed and he couldn't pay the mortgage, this house would be used as a mortgage. She didn't have a house, so she had to continue paying the mortgage. Ningshu faintly said, "This house can't be used as a mortgage. I was still paying the mortgage, and it has to be a house that's 20 years old. This house was bought less than 2 years ago, so it can't be used as a mortgage." "How do you know it can't be used as a mortgage?" And Xiuchen stared at Ningshu. "Are you unwilling? As long as the website stabilizes and there are profits, I'll definitely pay off the mortgage. I'll even help you pay off the rest of the mortgage." Ningshu was speechless. "I'd be a pig if I believed you." And Xiuchen was painting such a big empty pie, so it meant that he was guilty. Ningshu faintly said, "Even if you want to use it as a mortgage, it can't be used as a mortgage. It's not that I don't want to help you, but I can't. I want you to borrow money from Yansuni, but you can't say it. If you can't, I'll do it." Ningshu took out his phone, and Xiuchen hurriedly stopped Ningshu. "No need, I'll think of a way myself." In the end, Xiuchen got the loan, and the mortgage was a house. Ningshu was quite surprised. Where did this house come from? And the location of this house was quite good. And Xiuchen was really good at hiding things. He clearly had something to use as a mortgage, but the first thing he thought of was to use this house as a mortgage. "Where did you get the house?" Ningshu asked Xiuchen. And Xiuchen said, "That house actually belongs to my parents. My parents bought it a long time ago, and were planning to retire in the future. Now it can only be used as a mortgage." Ningshu was speechless. Ningshu didn't believe his parents at all. This house was definitely in Xiuchen's. And Xiuchen was almost 40 years old, so it wasn't surprising that he worked hard to buy a house. But Xiuchen had never told Xuejing about this. Xuejing was the one who paid for the wedding house. Xuejing was also the one who paid for the mortgage. She had never thought of using that house as a wedding house. Now that Ningshu asked Xiuchen for money, and Xiuchen said that she was calculative and only cared about money. What was Xiuchen's behavior called? Cheating her into marriage was one thing, but he was also fucking a master. "Why didn't you tell me that you had this house?" Ningshu stared at Xiuchen. And Xiuchen said calmly, "This house isn't mine at all. It belongs to my parents. I won't take my parents' things for myself. If it wasn't for the lack of cash flow, I wouldn't have used my parents' things as a mortgage." Ningshu didn't want to listen to this person. And Xiuchen was the same as Yansuni. They were both hypocritical and selfish people. Everyone was selfish, and it was instinctive to seek benefits and avoid harm. But he had never seen people like them. Who knew how thick-skinned the two of them were to want to maintain their chastity even after being a whore. They even praised him. Ningshu was speechless. Ningshu just said calmly, "It's fine as long as I can get the loan." And Xiuchen was full of confidence in his future career, but a newly opened website usually didn't have much popularity. And Xiuchen also spent a sum of money on advertising. After the website was successfully established, and Xiuchen asked Yansuni to be the spokesperson for his website. Yansuni was good-looking and had a good figure. Naturally, she was the most suitable candidate. Yansuni was also the first streamer on Xiuchen's website. Chapter 1160. Yansuni's fair skin and long legs attracted a lot of traffic to the website. The website was also gradually developing in a good direction. Ningshu also opened the video dissing website and opened a random video. There were many comments in it. The comments also represented the popularity of a video. Other than Yansuni, there were also many streamers who joined the platform. And Xiuchen was no longer depressed after being fired. He even walked with the wind. It was probably because he was successful and could straighten his back in front of Yansuni. And Xiuchen didn't come home often. Ningshu turned on the GPS and saw 2 small red dots. Sure enough, they were stuck together. And Xiuchen really didn't care that he had a wife. Ningshu registered an account and uploaded the indescribable video on it. Moreover, it was a mass upload. He registered a few accounts and took turns to upload the videos. Then he turned around and reported in Xiuchen's website for uploading the videos. He even took screenshots as evidence. Moreover, and Xiuchen's website didn't have the copyright for many of the videos. Without the owner's permission, if the owner pursued it, Ningshu changed his IP address to upload the indescribable videos. Ningshu originally wanted to hack in Xiuchen's website, but that was too boring. And Xiuchen probably had some money on hand and had to spend it all. Ningshu was studying the background and data of Xiuchen's website when his phone rang. Ningshu picked up the phone. Hello. Jing Jing, it's me. Yansuni's voice was gentle. Through her voice, one could imagine Yansuni holding the phone with one hand and playing with her hair with the other. What's the matter? Ningshu asked. And Xiuchen's website has been successful and is on the right track. And Xiuchen said he wanted to celebrate. I told him to invite you and he agreed. Yansuni said. Ningshu was speechless for a long time. Should she thank Yansuni? You must come. Jing Jing, or something nicer. It's at a Western restaurant. Yansuni told him the location of the restaurant. Ningshu hung up the phone and tapped the table. Should he go or not? Of course he would go. She wasn't the one paying. Moreover, it was a Western restaurant. Ningshu went to report another wave of people. Then he turned off the computer and looked for clothes to wear in the closet. She dressed herself up for the banquet. At the appointed time, Ningshu took a taxi to the entrance of the Western restaurant. And Xiuchen and Yansuni were at the entrance of the Western restaurant. Yansuni was holding in Xiuchen's arm. And Xiuchen was wearing a well-ironed suit, while Yansuni was wearing a silver dress that outlined her beautiful curves. Yansuni waved at Ningshu, who was getting out of the car, with a smile on her face. Ningshu was speechless. It was hard to describe what he was feeling right now. It was really deformed. Was the family of three really going to live happily like this? Ningshu calmly walked over. Yansuni looked at Ningshu from head to toe. Ningshu was wearing a red dress that reached her knees and a pair of high heels. Yansuni smiled. Jing Jing, you're very beautiful today. Thank you. You look the same. Let's go in. And Xiuchen turned and entered the restaurant. Ningshu looked at the two of them holding hands. He felt that he was unnecessary. He was like a third wheel. After entering the restaurant, and Xiuchen pulled out a chair for Yansuni. Yansuni hurriedly said to Xiuchen, pull out a chair for Jing Jing too. No need. I'll do it myself. Ningshu pulled out a chair with one hand and sat down. And Xiuchen glanced at Ningshu and sat beside Yansuni. Ningshu pursed her lips. She wanted to look at the two of them face to face. And Xiuchen took the menu and ordered. Yansuni only wanted a vegetable salad. Ningshu directly said to the waiter, 2 steaks. And Xiuchen frowned. Why did you order 2 steaks? I won't be full with just one, Ningshu said matter-of-factly. Don't you think it's embarrassing? Who would order 2 steaks here? And Xiuchen looked at Ningshu with an unfriendly gaze, as if Ningshu had embarrassed him. I'm here to eat. It's my business how much I order, Ningshu said calmly. Stop arguing. Yansuni tried to be the peacemaker. And Xiuchen's expression was full of impatience. His tolerance for Ningshu was getting lower and lower. Ningshu felt that Xiuchen wanted a divorce. Now that Xiuchen was a boss, he felt that he wasn't good enough for her. The steaks were served quickly. Ningshu picked up the knife and fork and started eating. Only good food could not be let down. Yansuni ate the salad in small bites, just like a cat eating its food. When Ningshu finished the steak, Yansuni's salad was still on her plate. Ningshu pushed the empty plate to the side and started eating the second steak. As he ate, he glanced at Xiuchen. What did Xiuchen care about? Money, status, power, or beauty? Ningshu glanced at the beautiful Yansuni again. If all these things left Xiuchen, how painful would it be for Xiuchen? Ningshu suddenly put down his knife and fork and said to Xiuchen, Xiuchen, can you and Yansuni separate? Respect our marriage. I will fulfill my duty as a wife, and I hope you can fulfill your duty as a husband. Yansuni and Xiuchen were stunned. Yansuni said unhappily, Jing Jing, why are you doing this again? Didn't you say you wouldn't make a fuss? No one will destroy your marriage. Ningshu looked at Inshuchen. The fact that the original owner cheated on Inshuchen meant that he liked Inshuchen. Inshuchen, are you willing? Ningshu asked Inshuchen. Inshuchen put down his knife and fork and said calmly, I married you because I had no choice. I only gave you marriage. Don't think about other things. Ningshu was speechless. Ningshu shrugged. He knew it would be like this. Married you because I had no choice. Who the hell put a knife to your neck? Are you married to someone else? The strange look in their eyes made Ningshu feel like he was crazy. Oh, my morals. Have you never liked me, Shuejing? Ningshu asked Inshuchen. Shuejing treated him like that in the past. Even if he was a stone, he should have given her some warmth. I said before that I can't give you anything other than marriage, Inshuchen said. Also, you don't have any true feelings for me. When I was in trouble, you didn't think of helping me. You didn't do anything this time. Just because she said no, and didn't agree to use the house as collateral, she was evil? Should she be obedient and do whatever Inshuchen said? Inshuchen didn't scheme against her. Then, all the debts would be on her head. She would lose both her life and money. Inshuchen was now accusing her of not doing anything for his career. Chapter 1161. If she didn't give her all for Inshuchen, she wasn't worthy. What right did Inshuchen have to ask others to give for him? Ningshu didn't ask Inshuchen if he wanted to return to his family. Ningshu picked up his fork and ate his steak. Inshuchen's phone rang. Inshuchen's face turned pale when he answered the call. What happened? Yensuni asked Inshuchen. Inshuchen stood up. Something happened on the website. I have to go and settle it. You guys continue eating. It's not a big deal. Inshuchen took his suit jacket and left. Ningshu stared at Inshuchen's back. It must be a big deal. There were only Ningshu and Yensuni at the dining table. Yensuni looked dispirited as she stared at Ningshu. Jing jing. Ningshu heard the disappointment in her voice and felt speechless. Ningshu put down his knife and fork. He didn't want to talk to Yensuni. I'm done eating. I'll leave first. Ningshu ignored Yensuni's surprised expression and stood up to leave. When he reached home, Ningshu turned on his computer. The indecent videos she had posted had been deleted. There was an announcement on the website that everyone's videos would be reviewed. Videos that were too outrageous would not be uploaded. They were quite fast. Inshuchen was also interviewed by the internet police. Because of this, Inshuchen had committed the crime of distributing material. Because of these indecent videos, Inshuchen's video website's traffic skyrocketed, and the number of registered members increased. As the person in charge of the company, Inshuchen naturally had to bear the responsibility for using material for illegal profits. He was fined 120,000 yuan, and the company had a criminal record. When Inshuchen set up this website, he didn't have much money. He even mortgaged his house for a loan. Being fined 120,000 yuan was the same as cutting off Inshuchen's PR. The website had just opened. How did this happen? But everything had its pros and cons. Because of this, the website's traffic skyrocketed. Inshuchen could only comfort himself in this way. It could also be considered a publicity stunt. Although it wasn't positive. Inshuchen returned home, exhausted. He sat on the sofa and sank into it. Pour me a glass of water. Inshuchen said to Ningshu as he rubbed his forehead. Ningshu felt that Inshuchen was using her place as a place to vent his frustrations. She usually didn't see him, but when something happened, he would come here. Who was she supposed to vent all her negative emotions on? Ningshu took out a glass of ice water from the fridge and poured it for Inshuchen. Inshuchen drank the iced water. The water was cold and his body shivered. Ningshu and Inshuchen said, "Let's get a divorce. I know you like Yensuni. I'll help you. Yensuni won't marry you now, but she will marry you one day," Ningshu said gently. Inshuchen raised his head and glared at Ningshu. His face was filled with impatience and annoyance. He realized that this woman would really throw herself at him whenever he was uncomfortable or troubled. "Do you really want a divorce? Are you sure?" Inshuchen asked impatiently, Ningshu said. Inshuchen didn't think that the other party would divorce. He could even tolerate such things before, so how could he divorce? Ning Shu sneered and said, "If you don't want a divorce, then you have to break up with Yin Suni. If not, I'll divorce you." And Xiuchen glanced at Ning Shu. "You know my relationship with Yin Suni. How can I break up with her?" If Yin Suni hadn't said that they could break up if they got married, he wouldn't have married this woman. Now she was asking him to break up with Yin Suni. How could he? Was she crazy? "I don't care. I could tolerate it before, but I can't anymore." Ning Shu roared and grabbed in Xiuchen's collar. "Say it. Do you want me or her?" Ning Shu's face was ferocious. And Xiuchen pulled Ning Shu's hand. "Let go first. You're like a shrew." "So what if I'm a shrew? You and Yin Suni lied to me together." Ning Shu sneered. "You have to break up with Yin Suni today and live a good life with me. Otherwise, I'll cut off your penis. You're dreaming." And Xiuchen said in disgust, "Divorce." Ning Shu's expression changed. He quickly let go of Xiuchen's collar and tidied up Xiuchen's crumpled collar. "I was just joking. I don't want to divorce you. I don't ask for much. I just want you to break up with Yin Suni. Then we can live a good life and have a child like a normal family," Ning Shu said. "No. Since you want a divorce, then let's get a divorce." And Xiuchen seemed to have caught Ning Shu's weakness. Plus, with the incident on the website, and Xiuchen had nowhere to vent his anger. When he returned home, he was threatened by this woman. "Do you really think you're gold and diamond?" Ning Shu's face was bitter. "Don't be angry. I won't divorce you. Then I'll talk to Yin Suni and ask her not to ruin our marriage. Do you understand? It's always been you. You're the one who ruined my relationship with Yin Suni. Do you really think that you can ask me to do anything for you just because I'm married to you?" And Xiuchen roared in a low voice. And Xiuchen vented his anger on Ning Shu. When he saw Ning Shu's dumbfounded expression, and Xiuchen felt especially relieved. Ning Shu. How could he shout at Yin Suni if he had a temper, but in front of Yin Suni he was the same. He was schizophrenic. "Since you want a divorce, then let's get a divorce." And Xiuchen walked out of the door. And Xiuchen didn't want to live like this either. "Let's go." And Xiuchen turned around and saw that Ning Shu wasn't moving. He dragged Ning Shu out of the door and pushed Ning Shu into the car without any explanation. Without giving Ning Shu a chance to speak, he drove to the Civil Affairs Bureau. And Xiuchen, shut up. It's the last minute. Can't you leave me alone? Ning Shu, I am Jingjing. Soon, they arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Both parties signed the papers and took photos. In about half an hour, the divorce certificate was out. Ning Shu heaved a long sigh of relief. They were finally divorced. Did he really think that she was willing to serve in Xiuchen? Ning Shu hailed a taxi and went home. And Xiuchen came back soon after. Ning Shu looked at Xiuchen, who was standing in the living room. "Get lost." And Xiuchen was stunned. "What did you say?" "I told you to get lost. This is my house. What right do you have to come in? Give me back the keys and get lost. Otherwise, I'll call the police and say that you broke into my house with ill intentions." Ning Shu crossed his arms and raised his chin. When Xiuchen faced Ning Shu or Shui Jing, there was an eerie sense of confidence and arrogance. He felt like this woman should be begging him for help. He was spoiled. Chapter 1162. They were already divorced, so Ning Shu was not going to tolerate Xiuchen's bullshit. Go and play with your true love. They were already divorced, so how could he follow her home? Get lost, get lost. And Xiuchen was probably still not used to Ning Shu's ruthlessness, so he stammered. "What did you say?" "I told you to get lost. This is my house, and we are already divorced. Pack your things and get lost," Ning Shu said calmly. "If you don't want me to throw you and your things out, then get lost." And Xiuchen's face darkened. "Fine, I'll leave. Don't regret it." Ning Shu rolled her eyes and sat on the sofa, picking up an apple and nibbling on it. And Xiuchen packed his things and came out with his suitcase. He did not even look at Ning Shu and left with his things. After taking 2 steps, he stopped and took out his keys. Ning Shu threw them at him. "Your keys." Ning Shu stretched out her hand and caught the keys steadily. She looked at Xiuchen indifferently. Xiuchen snorted coldly and turned to leave arrogantly. However, he walked very slowly. He was probably waiting for Ningxu to call him back, but before Ningxu could say anything, he could only leave quickly with his suitcase. When he left, he even slammed the door, making a loud noise. Who are you venting your anger at? After Xiuchen left, Ningxu turned on his computer and posted information about buying a house on the internet. Ningxu planned to sell the house, so that Xiuchen would not come over every few days. Xiuchen always felt that Shuejing loved him so much that she could not leave him. She was very stubborn. Less than a day after the divorce, Yansuni called Ningxu angrily and asked, "You really divorced Xiuchen?" "Yes," Ningxu said calmly, "Xiuchen always said that I ruined your relationship, so I'll fulfill your wish now." "What do you mean ruined? What if Xiuchen's parents force me to marry him? What should I do?" Yansuni was very annoyed. "Why did you suddenly divorce him? Did uncle and auntie agree to your divorce?" "Ah, Jingjing, you can't be like this. You just left after the divorce." Yansuni wailed over the phone. Ningxu's mouth twitched. Who the hell knew how Yansuni could say such things? She even said that she could just leave like that. Was she supposed to be a puppet wife, blocking knives and swords? Ningxu hung up the phone without saying a word, so as not to affect his mood. In the past few days, Ningxu had cleaned up the entire house, down to every nook and cranny. She even wiped the windows clean. He posted information about buying a house on the internet, and people came to look at the house. Actually, the location of the house that Shuejing bought was not bad. Moreover, it was renovated and the furniture was new. Moreover, the decoration style was also quite good. At first glance, one could tell that it was a relatively high-class house. The only downside was that it was still a house with a mortgage. However, the real estate certificate was not in hand, so it was quite convenient to sell it. In the end, Ningxu's house was sold by a young couple. Ningxu counted with his fingers and made a little profit in the middle. Then, he sold the house without hesitation. After selling the house, Ningxu rented a house with 1 bedroom and 1 living room. Ningxu turned on the GPS and found that Xiuchen had been staying in a hotel all this time. He did not stay with Yansuni. The two of them probably had a conflict. Yansuni would not sleep in the same bed as Xiuchen. Moreover, Xiuchen suddenly got a divorce, which made Yansuni angry. He did not know what was wrong with Yansuni. She said that she was a germaphobe, but she did not seem to be one. She was also not biologically germaphobe. She also did not wear a mask or spray disinfectant. She was also not a germaphobe. She let her boyfriend marry her best friend just because she did not want to get married. She was really sick. After getting a divorce and buying a house, Ningxu spent a lot of time on work. Moreover, the company had a quota to study abroad. Ningxu wanted to fight for it. Shuejing had been working in this company since she graduated from university. Ningxu had a chance to fight for this quota. The supervisor wanted to let an unmarried person go. He was young and did not care about his family. Ningxu directly told the supervisor that he was divorced. He did not have a family to worry about. The supervisor thought about it for half a day and gave the quota to Ningxu. Shuejing was not weak at work and had been in the company for so many years. The study would start in 2 months. Therefore, Ningxu had to think of a way to settle the matter between Xiuchen and Yansuni within 2 months. Xiuchen wanted to do business. Then he would make sure that his business could not be done. The mortgaged house would also become the bank's. How could Xiuchen, who had nothing, be with Yansuni? Xiuchen, who was in dire straits, did not know if Yansuni could still feel anything. Love was a kind of feeling, and this feeling could not withstand any kind of destruction. After work, Ningxu made himself a sumptuous dinner. After eating, he tidied up. Then he moved his arms and did some warm-up exercises. Then he started to use the computer. Ningxu started to attack Xiuchen's video website. Xiuchen's website was still in its infancy. There were not many employees. There was only 1 technician and 2 programmers. Moreover, there were so many users watching videos online. It was easy to attack. Ningxu directly attacked the website server. After working for nearly 2 hours, the website was finally paralyzed. Many people were watching videos when they suddenly froze. When they refreshed the page again, the website would not open. It was the same for live streams. They were watching a beautiful and handsome man's live stream when they suddenly disappeared. They could not open the website at all. Although there were technicians to save them, the server could not be restored in a short time. Ningxu moved his stiff neck and did not continue to attack. It was enough to keep them busy for a while. And Xiuqin saw that his website was in a mess. He wanted to destroy the world. Why was it so hard to do business? After half a day, the website finally returned to normal. However, many netizens complained. And Xiuqin had no choice. He could only hire a maintenance technician to prevent the website from breaking down again. This time, he had already lost a portion of his users. He did not earn much money. However, and Xiuqin had a bad feeling about the investment. But now he could not back down. He had invested so much in the early stage. If he withdrew, he would not earn any money. He still owed the bank a few $100,000. He also had contracted streamers. These were all money-burning things. Therefore, and Xiuqin could only persevere. He was counting on this website to earn some money. Otherwise, he would lose his house. He would lose everything. And Xiuqin's heart was heavy. He did not want to stay in a hotel. It cost a lot to stay in a hotel. This was a crucial time. He had to save as much as he could. Chapter 1163. And Xiuqin had never thought that he would be in such a sorry state. And Xiuqin walked out of the hotel and dragged his suitcase to Ningxu's house. After ringing the doorbell, an unfamiliar man opened the door. And Xiuqin's heart skipped a beat when he saw the man. And anger rose in his heart. This woman had just divorced him, and she had found another man so quickly. And Xiuqin even suspected that this woman had wanted to divorce him a long time ago. And Xiuqin felt betrayed. This woman had said that she wanted to live a normal life with him, but she had changed her mind so quickly. And Xiuqin could tolerate not loving Xuejing, but he couldn't tolerate Xuejing's betrayal. Especially when his life was really difficult. This woman was actually having fun with another man. I'm looking for Xuejing. And Xiuqin stared at the man unkindly. He pushed the man away with his bag and walked into the house. Who are you looking for? Why did you barge into my house? The man blocked in Xiuqin. Honey, what's wrong? A woman came out of the kitchen. Who is this? I don't know. He barged in for no reason. Please leave, or I'll call the police. The man stared at Xiuqin warily. And Xiuqin looked at the unfamiliar couple awkwardly. Where's Xuejing? You mean the previous owner? She sold the house to us, and now this house is ours. And Xiuqin carried his bag out, and called Ningxu angrily. Ningxu picked up the phone and heard Xiuqin's roar. Why didn't you tell me before selling the house? Ningxu heard Xiuqin's heavy breathing. Even if he didn't see Xiuqin's face, he could imagine Xiuqin's face and his chest heaving up and down. Xiuqin, are you stupid? This house is mine and we're divorced. It's none of your business whether I sell the house or not, Ningxu said coldly. Xiuqin then remembered that he was the owner of this house, but he had removed his name from the property certificate. He had no right to manage this house anymore. Xiuqin shook his head in frustration. If he had known, he wouldn't have transferred this house to her. This way, he would also have control over the house. He had just checked out of the hotel room. Where was he going now? Xiuqin carried his luggage to Yan Suni's house. Yan Suni opened the door and saw the gloomy Xiuqin. She sized him up. Xiuqin's shirt was a little wrinkled, and the creases on his leather shoes were very obvious. Xiuqin was busy with the company's affairs and didn't care much about his image for the time being. After all, he had to solve the problem of survival first. If Xiuqin's business was successful now, he would naturally have the time and money to repackage himself. However, Xiuqin had too many things on his mind right now. Suni. Xiuqin called out to Yan Suni. Yan Suni looked angry. You didn't even tell me before getting a divorce. I don't want to see you now. With that, Yan Suni slammed the door shut, leaving Xiuqin standing outside the door in a daze. Xiuqin could only return to the house that he had mortgaged to the bank. In fact, the house had not been renovated at all. and Xiuqin had bought it for real estate speculation. It was used for investment. There wasn't even a bed. It was really a house with only 4 walls. And Xiuqin got more and more annoyed. He decided to stay at the company. The company's office was also rented. And Xiuqin didn't dare to think about what would happen if he failed. And Xiuqin slept on the company's sofa every day, covered with a blanket. When the sun rose, he would put the blanket away. However, it was very inconvenient for him to wash up. He also couldn't cook and ordered takeout every day. Between the 2 women, none of them came to see him. Looking at the night sky, and Xiuqin felt a little desolate, and a surge of sadness welled up in his heart. And Xiuqin was wallowing in self-pity, while Ningxu was happily cultivating. His phone rang. Ningxu saw that it was a call from his mother. Ningxu coughed and picked up the phone. Shuejing's mother's voice came from the other end. Jing, I heard from Suni that you are divorced. What happened? Your father and I were the last to know about your marriage. You didn't even tell us that you are divorced. If Suni hadn't called us, I wouldn't have known that you are divorced. Ningxu sighed. He didn't tell Shuejing's parents about this beforehand. If he told them, it would only make things more complicated. With the older generation's thinking, they would only persuade them to reconcile and not divorce. They would just let them live with it. How could they live with it? Why did they have to? They couldn't. Ningxu said lightly, Mom, don't listen to Yan Suni. Yan Suni and Xiuqin are together. She doesn't want to get married, so she used me as a shield. These 2 have always been together. Shuejing's mother was speechless. This can't be. This is the truth. Yan Suni didn't tell you, right? She didn't tell you why I got divorced, right? Ningxu said with a cold smile. This girl, how could she do this? You are neighbors after all. You grew up together. Shuejing's mother was very angry. Mom, you don't have to worry about this. I will take care of it. Don't worry, I am fine. Ningxu said calmly. After getting rid of them, I, your daughter, will have a better future. After some time, I will be going abroad to further my studies. You must take good care of yourselves. I will send you some money later. Keep it for yourself. Your father and I are doing well. We have money to spend. Bring more money with you and come back before you go abroad. Okay. Ningxu hung up and stared at the phone. Yan Suni was really shameless. She actually called Shuejing's parents to complain. Did she want her to remarry Xiuqin? What kind of weirdo was this? Ningxu was angry and unhappy. He picked up the computer on the coffee table and wanted to torture Xiuqin. Ningxu started to attack the website server. Soon, the server's CPU was very high and it couldn't run. The video couldn't be played. The loaded chrysanthemum kept spinning, but nothing could be seen. Could you imagine the feeling of despair when the internet speed was slow and the video couldn't be played? There were also live stream shows where the streamer couldn't be seen. It was all black. The feeling in his heart was, fuck. And Xiuqin's face was pale. He ordered someone to deal with it quickly while he watched the technician typing on the keyboard. And Xiuqin rubbed his head and couldn't help but slam his fist on the table. The documents on the table jumped. Why are you looking at me? Hurry up and fix it. And Xiuqin saw the staff staring at him, and couldn't help but shout. The staff immediately got busy. And Xiuqin looked at the website. It was still not fixed. Chapter 1164. Hurry up, it's been more than an hour. And Xiuqin couldn't help but urge. Although Xiuqin was urging him, this wasn't an easy task. After a while, the website returned to normal. However, the loss was quite big. Many users' data was lost. This meant that users who had already registered might not exist anymore after logging into their accounts. Moreover, Xiuqin's website used a VIP system, which meant that the customer's money was gone. And Xiuqin slapped his forehead when he heard the technician's words. The website couldn't be logged in, which made the netizens curse. They said that this was a lousy website that would have problems every few days. They wanted a better server. They all complained that their accounts were gone, and that they had charged so much money. Seeing that a riot was about to break out, some people even complained that Xiuqin was cheating them of their money. and Xiuqin had no choice but to get people to provide their accounts and passwords. Then he would return the accounts to them. However, there were some people who wanted to fish in troubled waters. They provided fake accounts and became VIPs. However, and Xiuqin didn't get a single cent. Instead, he lost money. And Xiuqin lost his temper because of this. He had already hired these technicians to maintain the website, but it still had problems. And Xiuqin was under a lot of pressure. He lost a lot of weight and looked dispirited. His face was yellow. No matter what, he had to persevere. After 2 major attacks, Ningxu wasn't so brazen anymore. What if Xiuqin called the police? Her hacking skills couldn't be compared to those heaven-defying people. She had to study hard. Ningxu only infiltrated silently. She wouldn't paralyze the website. She would only slow down the website and slow down the response. She wouldn't even be able to watch videos smoothly. This way, Xiuqin's website would slowly lose users. Other than attacking Xiuqin's website, Ningxu also started to prepare to go abroad. She definitely had to study and improve herself, so that she could be promoted to a higher position in the future. Although she was frustrated in love, she had to be successful in her career. Ningxu was busy with work and didn't answer Xiuqin and Yansuni's calls. She couldn't be bothered to listen to them. There was no point in getting entangled with these people. But Ningxu didn't expect that Yansuni would come to her company. When Ningxu got off work, she went out and saw Yansuni waiting for her at the entrance of the company. Ningxu pretended not to see her and walked away. Jing. Yansuni caught up with Ningxu. Ningxu turned around and asked, "What's the matter?" "It's getting dark now. Let me treat you to dinner," Yansuni said. The two of them entered the Chinese restaurant. Ningxu ordered some dishes, and the dishes were served one after another. Ningxu said while eating, "Why are you looking for me? If it's about Xiuqin, you don't have to say anything. What else do you think we can talk about other than Xiuqin?" Yansuni asked. Ningxu nodded. "That's right. Women are only men. There's nothing else to say. Jing, if I break up with Xiuqin, you won't be so cold to me, right?" Yansuni asked. Ningxu picked up a piece of boiled fish with her chopsticks, blew on it, and put it into her mouth. "Why would I? I'll always be cold to you," Yansuni sighed. "I didn't expect you to mind so much. Then I'll break up with Xiuqin. You guys live happily together." Ningxu's expression didn't change. "Why? Now that Xiuqin is down and his company isn't doing well, you want to leave him? Aren't you guys in true love?" Ningxu said as she ate. Being single has endless possibilities. Ningxu noticed another characteristic of Yansuni. She was a playboy. It wasn't necessarily that she was a playboy, but she was an extremely emotional person. Obviously, the current Xiuqin didn't match Yansuni's feelings. She was sick of him. If she didn't feel anything, she would break up. Jing, can you not be so mean? The most important thing for us now is to solve the problem. Solve the problem between the three of us, Yansuni said helplessly. Ningxu blinked. "I'm being mean? The problem has been solved perfectly. I'm divorced to fulfill your true love. How else do you want to solve it?" "Yansuni, don't push your luck," Ningxu said coldly. Yansuni was about to speak when her phone rang. Yansuni picked up her phone and glanced at Ningxu. She walked out of the private room to answer the call. As Ningxu ate, she pricked up her ears to listen to what Yansuni was saying. About 7 or 8 minutes later, Yansuni came in. Her face was slightly flushed, and with her thick and curly hair, she was very beautiful. Ningxu narrowed his eyes and stared at Yansuni. Yansuni felt a little uncomfortable under Ningxu's gaze, so she picked up her chopsticks and ate. However, Ningxu finished most of the food on the table. Yansuni raised her chopsticks and spun around before putting them down. Ningxu suspected that Yansuni already had a new boyfriend. Otherwise, why would she call him behind his back? Ningxu asked casually. "Was it Xiuqin who called just now?" Yansuni froze for a moment and shook her head. "It's about work." Indeed, it wasn't Xiuqin who called. If it was about work, then it obviously wasn't about work. Xiuqin might have been cheated on. Yansuni cheated on him, and so did Shuejing. If he wanted to live, he had to be cheated on. Why did Xiuchen have to drag 2 women down? Jing Jing. I rarely contact Xiuchen now. I will slowly break up with him. Maybe I won't appear in your life anymore. Will you not hate me then? Yansuni stared at Ningxu. Ningxu wiped her mouth unhurriedly and stood up with her bag. He picked up a plate and walked in front of Yansuni. He pulled open Yansuni's collar and poured the plate of oil and leftovers into Yansuni's clothes. Yansuni screamed and stood up, quickly reaching into her clothes to wipe. What are you doing? Yansuni screamed at Ningxu. She was wearing a dress today, and the oil had flowed down to her calves. Her clothes were soaked with oil, so one could imagine how pathetic her situation was under the clothes. Yansuni, don't throw all the trash you don't want at me. You don't want that old man in Xiuchen anymore, so you pushed him to me. Am I a garbage collection center? Ningxu said coldly. Damn, it was really annoying because of a man. If it weren't for the fact that he was afraid of committing a crime, Ningxu really wanted to chop Xiuchen up. Shuijing, do you think you're a good person? You still like Xiuchen. Xiuchen is my boyfriend. What you're doing is immoral. You stole my boyfriend. The 2 of you are just married. So what if you're married? Yansuni picked up the plate on the table and threw it at Ningxu. Chapter 1165. Yansuni's body was covered in greasy soup. She was furious. She picked up the plate on the table and threw it at Ningxu. Ningxu dodged the plate in a flash. The plate fell to the ground with a loud clang, smashing into pieces and splashing everywhere. Yansuni, you finally tore off your mask of hypocrisy. Ningxu opened the door of the private room and left. Yansuni had always been like this. She thought she was a good person and imposed her own selfish desires on others. After leaving the restaurant, Ningxu thought for a while and went to look for a private detective agency. It was definitely the right choice to look for a private detective agency for this kind of adultery. Ningxu found the photo on his phone. It was a photo of Shuijing and Yansuni. Ningxu asked the private detective to pay attention to Yansuni's movements. It would be best if he could take some photos. Ningxu felt that Yansuni had another man. After coming out of the private detective agency, Ningxu walked back. The night wind blew on Ningxu's face. The air was a little cold in his lungs. Ningxu put his index finger on the corner of his mouth. He raised it and made a smiling face. 2333, next time I really have to choose an easier task. I suddenly can't take it anymore. Ningxu said with a smile. All the functions in the system space were turned off. He couldn't contact other people. Ningxu felt like he was the only one in the whole world. Emotions were like menstruation. They were cyclical. One period of time, it was like being injected with chicken blood. Another period of time, they would fall into self-doubt. Recently, Ningxu had been entering missions nonstop. There was no way to relax. He was a little tired. Okay. 2333 said. You have a little endocrine disorder. Find a man. Why don't we talk about dating next to adjust our mood? 2333 said. Emperor, Prince, President, General, Boy Toy, Demon King. You choose one. Ningxu thought for a while. I don't know how many of these people I've crippled. Instead of conquering a scumbag, I might as well kill these people and conquer the world. If you want to pick one of these, I'd rather kill you, Ningxu said indifferently. In the mission world, once the mission was completed, they would have to leave the world. How could they fall in love? And how could she fall in love with someone in such a short time? Ningxu was someone who aimed to climb to the top of the mountain. He would not be greedy for the scenery on the mountainside. If he climbed to the top of the mountain, he would be able to see everything. 2333 was silent for a while. If someone likes you, will you stop? Why should I stop? Ningxu said in surprise. No one can stop me. No one has the right to ask me to stop. Because if he stopped, Ningxu wouldn't be able to control his own destiny. If he couldn't even control his own life, how could he talk about happiness? All right. 2333 didn't say anything else. Ningxu walked back home. He poured himself a glass of water and turned on his computer. Then he browsed in Xiuchen's website. Then Ningxu carefully attacked the website causing the website to lag more and more. Watching a video would lag for 5 to 10 minutes, and it was very frequent. It was simply too frustrating. And Xiuqin stared at the computer. During this period, and Xiuqin was so anxious that his hair was about to fall out. What was wrong with the website? Not to mention that there were too many people, and the website was cramped. Instead, the website was lagging and couldn't be opened from time to time. To be able to enter the website, it depended on one's luck. There were basically no users. A technician asked Xiuqin to buy a new server. Perhaps there was a problem with the server. And Xiuqin's liver was in pain. Servers were easily tens of thousands. The more expensive ones could reach hundreds of thousands. There were even more expensive ones. And Xiuqin couldn't bear to buy one, so he asked someone to check if there was any problem with the server. The technician came over to take a look. There was no problem. There was a problem with the website. It might be a hacker attacking the website. And Xiuqin couldn't figure out why a hacker would attack his website. And Xiuqin found a professional hacker to take a look. Ningxu felt that the other party had made a move. He immediately cut off the connection to prevent the other party from tracking him. It seemed that Xiuqin had already noticed. Even so, Ningxu still had a backup plan. And Xiuqin's website didn't obtain the copyright for the movies and TV series. And Xiuqin was infringing on the copyright. Ningxu compiled a list and sent an email to the relevant producers. If the other party took it seriously, they would definitely ask Xiuqin to take it down or make a contract. Both parties were mutually beneficial. Or they would have to buy the broadcasting rights. Either way, Xiuqin would have a hard time. Xiuqin asked a hacker to clean up some abnormal codes. The website's speed took off quickly. However, the crazy lag a while ago had scared many users. Hence, there weren't many users on the website. There were many video software, and there were many choices. Xiuqin's platform had basically lost all its users. Moreover, its reputation was very bad. Xiuqin couldn't help but grab his hair. In the end, he pulled out a lot of hair. Xiuqin couldn't help but touch his forehead. Even his hairline had moved up quite a bit. If this continued, he would really go bald from worry. Xiuqin felt tormented. He wanted to give up. However, when he thought about how much money he had invested, he couldn't take it lying down. Moreover, his house was still mortgaged. Xiuqin gritted his teeth. He could only endure. Xiuqin thought that it would be fine as long as he endured it. However, he didn't expect that there was still something waiting for him. Some film companies wanted his website to take down their works. Otherwise, they would have to go to court and either buy the copyright or sign a contract. Xiuqin had spent almost all his money on it. Now he didn't have the money. He could only take down some movies and TV series. This website didn't have many users to begin with. In addition, there were many things that couldn't be watched. In the end, the website was even more deserted. The website wasn't profitable. Xiuqin still had to pay salaries. The salaries of the technical staff and programmers weren't low. This made Xiuqin feel really conflicted. In the end, Xiuqin decided to change his alias. He opened a new domain name and started over. After all, there were servers and people. He could apply for a new domain name and start the website again. Xiuqin was busy for a few months. Finally, he created the new website. Then he called Yansuni and asked her to do a live broadcast to increase his popularity. Speaking of which, Xiuqin felt that he hadn't seen Yansuni in a long time. Xiuqin was prepared to tidy himself up and meet Yansuni. Xiuqin asked Yansuni over the phone. Yansuni reluctantly agreed. The two of them met at a Western restaurant. When Yansuni saw Xiuqin, she blurted out, "How did you become like this?" Xiuqin looked very haggard. There were wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. Xiuqin was almost 40 years old. In the past, he had lived like a prince and was a middle-level manager in the company. However, recently, Xiuqin had suffered a lot. He was under a lot of psychological pressure. His body was tired. Chapter 1166. Xiuqin wasn't in a good state, but he had tidied up before coming to see Yansuni. However, Yansuni's first sentence was this. Her astonished expression made Xiuqin's back break out in cold sweat. It was very awkward. It was as if he had been stripped naked in public, and it was said by someone who liked him. It was very embarrassing. And Xiuqin couldn't help but pull his clothes together and change the topic. How have you been? And Xiuqin looked at Yin Suni. She was still beautiful. In front of her, and Xiuqin felt a little ashamed. I'm good. How about you? Yin Suni said. How's your company? Not bad, but I want to invite you to do a live broadcast, and Xiuqin said with difficulty. Yin Suni hesitated for a moment before nodding in agreement. Then, the two of them were speechless. After a meal, the two of them parted ways. And Xiuqin wanted to settle the new website as soon as possible, so that he could appear in front of Yin Suni in a glamorous manner. Ningxu received a photo from the private investigator. It was a photo of Yin Suni having dinner with a man, but it wasn't in Xiuqin. And Xiuqin was busy with work. The private investigator gave Ningxu the man's information. He was the general manager of Fengxing Group, Chenzheng. However, this Chenzheng was a little special. He was a son-in-law who married into the wife's family. The entire Fengxing Group was actually managed by his wife. It was said that Chenzheng's wife was a famous career woman. Everyone called her a tigress. Chenzheng was famous for loving his wife. He didn't care if others said that he was henpecked. They said that he was henpecked because he respected his wife. However, a man who loved and respected his wife was now having dinner with another woman. He wanted to be comforted by another woman. Ningxu felt that not many men liked a woman who was truly independent. Most of them wanted a woman who relied on them and treated them like the sky. Ningxu flipped through the photos. They were all photos of the two of them being intimate. Ningxu paid and took the photos. He mailed one to Chenzheng's wife and one to Xiuqin. It wasn't that not asking a man to divorce didn't count as destroying the marriage, but it still destroyed the relationship between the couple. As for how Xiuqin felt when he received these photos, Ningxu couldn't care less. There was also Chenzheng's wife. He did not know what methods she would use to deal with Yin Suni. Ningxu began to pack his luggage and prepared to go abroad for further studies. However, Ningxu found a video on the internet. In the video, the woman was stripped naked in public. She didn't even have any clothes to cover her body. Someone said, "Since you like to take off your clothes and pants, don't wear any clothes." The video was in high definition. Ningxu recognized Yin Suni at a glance. Yin Suni squatted on the ground naked and hugged her front. She lowered her head to prevent the other party from filming her. Ningxu was speechless. This Mrs. Chen was really fierce. She actually dared to deal with people like this. Since you're so shameless, I'll make you completely shameless. Yin Suni kept arguing that she didn't ruin other people's marriages. Yin Suni cried and shouted, "Why are you doing this to me?" Yin Suni cried sadly. In the end, a bucket of ice water splashed at her. Yin Suni jumped up in shock, revealing her voluptuous front, thin waist and long slender legs. She was really beautiful. Yin Suni quickly squatted down. She was naked and didn't dare to run around. She curled up in the corner and didn't dare to move. Yin Suni looked at the people surrounding her. Everyone was pointing at her and whispering to each other. There was also Chenzheng. He stood with his wife, avoiding her gaze, and kept explaining to his wife. Yin Suni felt really wronged. Very wronged. She had never wanted to ruin anyone's family. Why did they treat her like this? Yin Suni never felt that she was in the wrong. She now hoped that someone would appear and put a coat on her to get her out of this predicament. A prince would appear and save her from this disaster. A person holding a coat appeared in front of Yin Suni. Yin Suni looked up and saw Xiuqin's pale face. Yin Suni's lips moved. And Xiuqin put the coat on Yin Suni and left with Yin Suni in his arms. This woman is your woman, right? Take good care of your woman. Don't let her seduce other people all day. Mrs. Chen said coldly, "If I see her hanging around my husband again, I won't let her off easily." Mrs. Chen turned and left. Chenzheng followed beside her and kept explaining that it was that woman who seduced him. Mrs. Chen directly removed Chenzheng from his position as general manager. She said that Chenzheng had so much money that he had the time to seduce other women. And Xiuqin waited for Yin Suni to put on her clothes with a cold face. Yin Suni came out of the fitting room. Why did you do this? The veins on Enshuchen's forehead popped out. Enshuchen felt that he was working so hard to give Yensuni the best. Because Yensuni deserved the best. But he didn't expect Yensuni to hook up with another man. Can't you stand loneliness? Yensuni's face was gloomy. Our relationship is already like this. If we break up like this, we can still leave each other with beautiful memories. And Shuejing, we have already hurt Shuejing. You and Shuejing should live a good life. The veins on Enshuchen's forehead popped out. After saying so much, you just want to break up with me. Now that you don't like me, you don't want to be with me anymore. You want to climb up the social ladder again. Yensuni was stunned. You've been with me for so long. Do you think I'm such a person? When have I ever cared about money? What you want is piled up with money. Enshuchen's face was pale. You want to break up with me? Dream on. Enshuchen hated Yensuni for betraying him. He was betrayed by two women. We're hurting each other. Enshuchen, let me go. Letting me go is letting yourself go. Yensuni saw Enshuchen's ferocious face and her heart trembled. The exquisite man in the past was leaving Enshuchen. Enshuchen was now like a violent beast in a cage. He could explode and hurt people at any time. His career had failed, and his relationship had been thwarted. Enshuchen had nowhere to vent his anger. In addition, he was already old. Enshuchen was already in his 40s when he stood up in his 30s. But he had no family, no children, and no career. This feeling of failure made Enshuchen feel like he was at the end of the road and unable to struggle. The panic of going with the flow and not being able to take root had been lingering in Enshuchen's heart. This time, Yensuni's betrayal completely ignited Enshuchen's anger and panic. Only then did he truly feel how much of a failure he was. You're tuning in to the Limei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.